Import the macro. Alright, here we go. Starting now. Alright, so this is a demonstration run of the new 100% route. So this is actually a macro being played back on console. This is not a video recording. And what's really cool about this is I actually have access to GZ tools, because this is playback on GZ, which is a modded version that has a bunch of cool tools for practice. And some cool things it has is a hitbox viewer and collision viewer, which I'll be using throughout the run to show some cool stuff off. And it'll make a lot of things make a lot more sense. And also there's input viewer at the bottom. And also the number on the right, that's an important number that'll be used for a lot of glitches throughout the run. It won't be important for like the first 10 or 15 minutes or something, but after that it becomes really important, which is just a good reference for how a lot of the tricks work later on. So the reason for this demonstration run is the new 100% route is kind of insane, and it's honestly going to be a hard run to run at all, and hard to finish runs. There are a lot of places where this run can crash if you are off by the slightest amount. And so I thought the best way to show this off and also just make a good tool for learning would be making this macro that actually has the whole thing. It's the whole run in one piece that, you know, doesn't have mistakes and doesn't crash constantly. And also this macro can be played back by anyone with GZ. I'll have this uploaded, and anyone can just download the macro, download the save states, and play this back on your own console, which is super cool. Thanks for 2 years, Calf Sneak. And also, I also made a watch list, because there's a lot of like important watches necessary for this. Here. Where is it? Yeah, so I put a bunch of watches in a watch list for this. There's this handful of watches down here that are all really important for the run that I'll talk about later. Thanks for 11 months, Mad Mike. Oh yeah, and for playing this back on console, it has to be played back on VC. This will not play back on N64 because it'll crash in many places. But yeah, a lot of the beginning of the run is fairly similar to what you normally see. But yeah, this run is going to be super crazy because this run has a ton of new SRM uses. And SRM is being able to modify certain actor data that we can use to do some incredibly powerful things. We can basically write data to places we're not supposed to, which causes some pretty extreme glitches. Hitbox viewer. I mean, I can turn on hitbox viewer, it's not going to be too interesting for this point. Here's Link's hitbox. Oh, I guess you can probably see the boulder hitbox. Oh no. Oh, there, you can kind of see it. It's actually pretty accurate to the boulder. The boulder is a sphere. Oh yeah, don't forget to split. I do intend to split this run, I promise, but I probably will forget a lot. Splits are not automated, I have to do them. I am definitely gonna forget a lot. But yeah, beginning of the run is still... Beginning of the run, like first 10-12 minutes is still like fairly similar. Just escape. Sword shield escape. Go to Kakariko. Hey Glank. Big shoutouts to Glank for what? What? How'd that crash? Just as I was giving shoutouts to Glank, it had to go and crash. I don't know if I should give those shoutouts anymore. Okay, I have no idea why that crashed. I kind of want to assume that was just a random VC crash. Which is perfect timing, I guess. Okay, the good thing is I don't have to start from the beginning because I have save states for the whole thing, which means we're right back where we were. I'm gonna leave the timer frozen for a few more seconds just because I left it going for a little bit. Probably, I'll say it's a 510 escape. Even though it's probably faster than that. Okay. Ignore the crash. Oh, the frame count. Oh, I was gonna, hold on. I gotta change my settings again. I had different, I have different settings set up for this. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm probably not gonna read subs during this, just because there's gonna be a lot to talk about. But thank you for subs and resubs. Why is Link so slow? Because he doesn't have his special boots yet. Okay, yeah, there's gonna be a lot to talk about, but not right now, because this is just like the same basic stuff in the run. There will be stuff to talk about soon, I promise. Oh, I can talk about one thing here. Okay, so you see how I closed that, I said no to the owl instantly there? So, turns out there's this mechanic with text boxes. Fig figured this out recently. There's this mechanic with text boxes that have choices where the first time you have a text box with a choice, you can buffer holding down and it'll go to the down option the first time. It'll go to the down option immediately. But then the next time you come up with a text box that has an option, it will not buffer it if you did that buffer on the previous option text box. And so with that owl, most of the time you can't actually buffer down on that owl because most people hold down to exit the shop, and the shop has an option like yes or no, do you want to keep talking to the shop guy? And so if you don't hold down on that shop text box when you're leaving the shop, then you can hold down on that owl and just say no to him immediately without risk of saying yes. Okay, so here's the first actual change in the route. We don't actually get the cocoa bottle first thing. We actually go straight to bottom of the well and ignore the bottle. And so we just do cocoa dive to bottom of the well. What an SRM lens? Well, it's not lens we care about. The reason we come down to bottom of the well immediately is for bomb shoes, because bomb shoes we need to get as fast as possible. And Lens of Truth just happens to be right near here. And even then, we still, even if we did SRM lens, we still have to get it from source. I gotta talk about source a lot coming up soon actually, because source is an important concept in this run. Okay, here's the first place I can really show off Hitbox Viewer. So when you do this ocarina dive to the basement, you're like in the basement unloaded. And you have to sort of navigate blindly, but I can use collision viewer to show off what this is actually like down here when you're actually going through here. So this is the normal basement of bottom of the well, and when you're swimming here, you're actually clipping through the ceiling above. And then, yeah, and then you go in here. How am I gonna pull off the splice? I'm just gonna pause it like at the end of the first part and then just load up the second part. Gonna have to do a little pause. And then yeah, we can use choose to clip the dead hand early. I assume you guys know this part. How do I decide when to pause for equips? Most of the time it's just whenever it seems most convenient, or a lot of the time I typically like to do it like as late as possible. But sometimes there are positions where it's just like more optimal. Like sometimes you can pause in front of an NPC so you can roll past the NPC because you can't talk to them while unpausing. So I actually take damage there because we're gonna death warp out of here. Oh, split. I will forget a few of those. Okay, so now the run is going to get interesting soon. So it's just gonna be Hess out of here and then go to Zora's River as soon as possible. I leave here instead of doing one trip Bomb of the Well because we're gonna go back to Bomb of the Well multiple times. This run probably does like 8 trip Bomb of the Well or something. Bomb of the Well is a very useful place to go later on. I'll talk about it later. Okay, so there, I actually enter Zora's River from the water intentionally. I'll talk about that later, but that actually was intentional. So here's the first important use of SRM. I'm gonna hold a chew while grabbing the Skulltula token, and the camera's gonna pan during it. And when Link is holding a chew, the game is saying like, okay, Link is holding something at this specific memory address, but then when the chew explodes, it's going to be gone, and then when the camera pans, something else is going to load, and something else can actually load in that same memory address where the chew was before. And when you're holding something like a bomb chew, it writes certain position and angle data to whatever you're holding to like make it look like Link is carrying it around. And so it actually wrote angle data to something that actually loaded when the camera panned, which was that butterfly. You saw I was picking up that butterfly. That butterfly is actually a function in that butterfly changed into a function that gives items. And the items I'm getting is going to be based on that bomb chew running on the wall. It's based on the bomb chew's position relative to camera. And so now with the bomb chew running on the wall, this item value is constantly fluctuating. And it's going to be constantly giving Link items. And so this is going to give me a lot of items very quickly. And so something to note about 100%. So none of these items count towards the actual 100% definition. So 100% has what's known as the source requirement rule that says all the items actually required for 100%, you have to get them from their actual source. That means like the normal place you would get them, like the hammer chest has to come from the chest in Fire Temple, or light arrows have to come from the light arrow cutscene or something like that. So none of the items I get here actually count towards 100%. It's just that having them early happens to save a lot of time. You're still allowed to get the items early, as long as you also get the real item later on. And having them early is a really big help. So this section gets a ton of items that are just really good for having early. A bunch of upgrades, hammer, bomb shoes, bottles, egg, Din's Fire for Aura's Wind, especially for Aura's Wind. Yeah, I gotta remember to split too. So the items are sort of controllable. I can actually, here, let me actually bring up a watch for it. It's this number. So this number, that 4F on the screen now, that's actually the value of whatever item I'm supposed to be getting. You can see how much it fluctuates. This is a value based on, again, the bomb tree running on the wall. And it's like a wildly fluctuating value. It's extremely chaotic. It is consistent, but it is incredibly precise. And these setups to make the setups to get all these items is incredibly precise. And so I actually didn't get everything I want there, so we actually do a few specific setups for very specific items. This is gonna get F, which is empty bottle. Yeah, you can get duplicate items. You probably saw I got 2 slingshots, and I probably got a lot of items twice, actually. And then this one is going to be green potion, which is 1-1. Green potion, very important item in this. For multiple reasons, actually. And then 6C is fish. And then I also need some more bomb shoes. So this setup is actually pretty bad. Ideally, like, we'll probably want to find a better setup for this that doesn't need all these like specific angle setups for a few items at the end. Really, we probably shouldn't need them at some point, but that's just what we currently have. That'll probably be improved soon. I split. Okay, so now I'm gonna do RBA here. This RBA isn't actually super important. It's kind of just to move the fish into a different bottle slot, which will just be easier to manage for later. This is gonna put fish in the this item slot where hookshot is. But the more important thing here is I just want to get bottle on B and then die. And so I mentioned how we entered Zora's River from the water. The reason that was important is when you have a bottle on B and then you die and respawn in water, your B button is blank, whereas if you spawned on land, your B button would turn Deku Stick. And blank is really important because that's going to let me use Furor's Wind coming up. And also you can do a cool little Hess out of the water there by shielding right as you enter the water. And we're heading back home. Okay, so here is where the super important stuff happens in the run. So upcoming is the massive SRM section. So the SRM I did in Zora's River with that butterfly to get a bunch of items. We can do a lot more than that. That's just one small use of SRM. So here in Lost Woods, we can do SRM to do a lot more powerful stuff. So this first one is actually going to be messing with quest status. So quest status is the screen that has all your medallions and songs and stuff like that. So we can actually use SRM to modify that. So what's going on here is that fish has to be put in a very specific spot in memory. You see how I'm doing a bunch of seemingly random things. This is so that things get placed in memory in the right way. That fish had to be placed in memory in the right way. And this piece of grass that I'm going to be picking up in a sec needs to be in the right spot in memory. And I'm going to be super sliding off this piece of grass with the camera turned away so that it's going to be culled so that I can pick up this nothing basically. And when I come back in here, something else is going to be loaded in that same place. And also, if I take this up, so you can actually see my quest status screen changing like as I'm moving around. So you can see that was actually quest status SRM. It was just modifying everything on quest status while I was picking up that invisible grass. Oh, split. And so yeah, we're SRMing this piece of grass that can change a lot of very powerful things. I actually should have done that earlier. It's if I did that like immediately, it'd be kind of cool. But yeah, so this next SRM is going to get magic. So magic, you normally, you know, have to go all the way to the top of Death Mountain and watch a cutscene for it, but this is a little bit faster. And so you see I'm doing precise angle setups here, like that number in the corner. I mentioned earlier like how that was going to be important. All the angle setups I'm doing here have to be angle perfect. Like that one was 9140, it had to be exactly 9140 and nothing else, or else it wouldn't work. And also, there are 65,536 total possible angles, and we need one of them. Some cases can use a few more than one, but like for the most part, you're doing an angle setup for one specific thing. Which I should also give a shout out to Save State, who made an angle finder program, because even though these things are angle perfect, OOT has a lot of very specific movement setups you can do that will always change your angle by an exact amount. And so Save State made a program where you can just put in what types of things that can change your angle are available to you, what angle you want, and it'll just spit out a result that'll tell you the best way to get that angle. Okay, so this SRM coming up, this is probably the most important one in the run. So I mentioned the blank B earlier. That was so when you have a blank B and you do down A, which is a glitch where you get hit on and off a ladder and you're like sort of on the ladder. When you do that while you also have blank B, it doesn't update your item usability. And so when I equipped Furrow's Wind there, I equipped it over an item that was usable, which meant that the game didn't set Furrow's Wind to unusable, which let me use Furrow's Wind there. This is important because this next SRM is going to actually glitch that Furrow's Wind that I just set. So normally right now that Furrow's Wind would just be set to, you know, set in Lost Woods from Kokiri Forest. This is going to glitch Lost Woods. It's going to glitch the entrance index for that Furrow's Wind set into some glitched entrance value. And this glitched entrance value is not going to be like any real entrance value. It's actually going to make it so that anytime I use Furrow's Wind, it's going to read off of Link's angle, and Link's angle will be what determines where you actually warp to. Which means that I can warp almost anywhere I want just by changing my angle, and that'll come in handy coming up soon. And so this next SRM is going to be modifying 4 items in my inventory. So first, in the middle of this, I'm going to do RBA again. This is just because I want Bottle MD for an upcoming section. And also, with RBA, doing RBA with Ice Arrow on C right gets me the Water Temple boss key, which is moderately helpful. And so, setting up this next SRM, this one I actually have to grab a different piece of grass, so I have to use a different setup here. So again, this one's going to modify 4 item slots in my item inventory, and so when I pause coming up here, you're going to see a lot of very glitched items. So this invisible piece of grass here is now modifying 4 item slots. So when I pause here, you'll see I have item slots where they shouldn't be. That just gave me a quiver. That's a quiver that holds 50 arrows. That is not supposed to be an item slot you equip. Then I just equipped that glitched item. And you're not going to see it until the next pause, but I also set a certain angle that would give me Eyeball Frog and Bunny Hood, but they're in different slots than they normally should be. Split. Okay, so now I'm actually RBAing those glitched items I just got. So RBAing the Quiver 50 on C right gives me Fire Temple keys. So I just got 20 Fire Temple keys. And then RBAing that other glitched item that looks like nothing, that RBA's Water Temple flags. So that actually just lowered the water in Water Temple. So when I go into Water Temple, the water's just going to be at its lowest point initially. Yeah, 20 keys to be safe. Okay, so this next SRM is actually going to change Link's age. So you can actually modify Link's age using this. And this is going to turn Link into adult, kind of. So you'll see Link will like jump up a little bit there. And so now you can see I have adult equipped. So you can see I also have Frog and Bunny Hood there. And so like Link is kind of hovering a little bit off the ground. And I also use that to equip Mirror Shield. You can use this to equip Mirror Shields as child. And also it causes a little graphical glitch when you pull out the slingshot there. That's what just happened with the water there. And so if you save and quit there, it actually keeps you as adult. So if you wanted to like just become adult instantly, you can just save and quit there. But we actually want to stay child. But the important part of that is that it equips Mirror Shield. And also a second important part that'll be more important later is that it saved adult equips as my equips that I just had. It just means that normally the game will store certain equips that you have like the last time you were adult or the last time you were child, so that it equips the right stuff when you go back and forward in time and stuff. And so the equips I had did actually get saved as stored adult equips. Okay, so this next part, this is part of the next most important SRM after the Furrow's Wind one. We actually have to go into Zora's River for this one. That weird setup that I was just kind of doing a bunch of random stuff for, that was to load the frogs in Zora's River in a specific part of memory. You know, the frogs that you have to play all the songs for? Those had to be loaded in a very specific place in memory, not because the frogs themselves are important, but for certain numbers to line up in memory. Because when those frogs load and you go into Lost Woods, the memory for where they were is still there. It's just that, like, it's just useless. It's just not gone until it's overwritten by something else. We can actually make use of the fact that it's not overwritten yet, by going in here and doing another SRM. And this SRM is going to be a super cool one. This is going to modify Link's boots and tunics. And they're actually not going to be regular boots and tunics, they're going to be very special. So the actual important thing that's modifying here is boots. The tunic is actually just a side effect of it, but it's kind of cool anyway. So you see when I pause here, when I go over to the equipment screen, you see the equips were kind of weird there. You see now Link is moving kind of weird, and I suddenly got a blue tunic. That is not the Zora tunic, that is actually a glitched tunic value. That it's actually a lighter shade of blue than Zora tunic. But you also see Link's feet are moving very weird. He looks like he's moving faster. So these are glitched boots that we call F boots because the actual value of this boot, like the actual number value in the game of this boot, is F in hexadecimal. And the really important part of these boots, if you saw right there, is that these boots have no gravity. So you'll see it again coming up after this. I will just be able to fly with these. Split. These splits are really great. So here we go. This is F boots. You just fly. And the only way to get down is jump slashing, so I'm gonna have to jump slash in the air a lot now. And it's not just hovering at the same height. If you do a side hop or backflip or ground jump or anything, you gain height. So we basically have L to levitate in the game now. Okay, so now the SRM section is over, and so now it's time to make use of the SRM. And so also another thing about the F boots is that if you shield damage in the air, you get a big boost backwards. It starts at the same speed as Hess speed, but gradually, speed gradually decays over time. But you have control over it, you can like move left and right in the air doing it. So that's really useful, you can just move super quickly in the air using this. And so now it's time for actually collecting stuff. So I actually want to take some damage here. I'm going to be dying a lot, especially early on in the run. And I'm going to go into Deku Tree, but Deku Tree has a cutscene normally if you go in there normally. But you can just go out of bounds here. I can actually turn on collision view. So this is this area unloaded, but with collision view you can see it. You can actually see the gap there. There's a gap where the Deku Tree's mouth isn't loaded. That's just a quick way to enter Deku Tree without having to watch that cutscene. So now in Deku Tree, I can fly up here quickly. Oh yeah, the tech skip there for opening the door is actually really awkward with F boots, because like you can't just do a normal side hop in front of the door. And so you actually have to like do a weirdly timed jump slash and then A. But the benefits of F-boots far outweigh the bad things about it anyway. So here's Slingshot that I will actually split on. Okay, so now is the first use of the Furrow's Wind stuff. So you remember my initial place I set Furrow's Wind was in Lost Woods, but I glitched it so that it's based on my angle. So now I have angle 0, and so when I warp, it's going to send me to scene 0, which is Deku Tree. And so now I can, now I have the glitch active, and I set my angle to 3B01. And so when I have the glitch active, anytime I void out, use Furrow's Wind, die, get caught by a Wall Master, or go in a special type of void, which I'll talk about later, it will send me to some other place based on my angle value. So it's not just Furrow's Wind, but Furrow's Wind is what I can use to reactivate the glitch whenever I want. So right there, I used Furrow's Wind to activate the glitch, because when you use Furrow's Wind with it, it sets your last entrance to this glitched entrance value, which means that anything that will set you back somewhere using your last entrance value will then also be glitched. And with a death, when you die, where you respawn is determined by, you know, where did you last enter. If you entered Deku Tree and then you died, then obviously you're going to respawn at Deku Tree and not at Fire Temple or whatever, right? Except in this case, where that entrance is glitched, where it's reading off of your angle value. And so you're going to see a lot of angle setups done in this run, and the angle value is going to be determining where you warp to. Specifically, it's actually the first 2 numbers that determines the map that you warp to, or in the case where it shows 3 numbers there, the first 0 is actually truncated, so it's 0, 1. 0, 1 is Dodongo's Cavern, so I will go to Dodongo's Cavern. What do you know, it's Dodongo's Cavern? And I'm actually past the first wall, so I don't have to blow it up, and so you can just slide hop up here and go straight to bombs. And so, about the numbers that are being used for the warp. So the first 2 numbers determine what map you warp to. The second 2 numbers, depending on what kind of warp you're doing, they can determine what entrance you're at, if you're using a Death or Wall Master. Or if you're using a Void or Furrow's Wind, then they kind of just really determine whether or not it works at all, because some values for the last 2 numbers will just crash, and by some I mean like a majority of them. Because there are 256 total values that would correspond to each map, but not all 256 values work. Usually it's something like 50 or so values that actually work, and the rest crash. So here, I set my angle to 708, that corresponds to Shadow Temple, and so I'm going to void out. And also, when I void or use Furrow's Wind, it's not just going to load the map, but also the same room value. Let me turn on collision view here. And so the room value that I entered from using that door, that was room, I don't know what room it is, probably like room 12 or something. And it means that when I void out and I load Shadow Temple, it's also going to load the same room number in Shadow Temple. And also, and also use the same coordinates as where I was at the door. So that place where I spawned was the same coordinates and room number as in Dodongo's Cavern, but in Shadow Temple. And in Shadow Temple that corresponds to this room being loaded. And so I was really far out of bounds, but because of F-boots and, you know, being able to boost really far with bombs, I could actually, even though I was super far out of bounds, I could actually get there. And also Link is tilted, because it just happens to be that for some of these warp values, some of these glitched warps, they write certain data to certain places that it's not supposed to, and it can sometimes write to Link's rotation value. And so right now Link's Z rotation is skewed, and so Link is just kind of, you know, tilted. And so the tilting is actually fairly rare, but the interesting thing about this run in particular is that the fastest angle to get to Shadow Temple is always that 708 angle that gives you this tilt. So every single time I go to Shadow Temple, with the exception of the boss, with the exception of Bongo, I will always be tilted. And also, I'm going to be making several trips to Shadow Temple, and really several trips to every dungeon. Let me turn on collision view again. So this is Jabu now. And so the room that's loaded right now is the same room as the room I was just in or no, it's the same room as back in Jabu because I'm using Furo's Wind. And that room number loaded was this room, which is the boomerang room. I was gonna show on Hitbox you were there, whatever. And so normally, if you've watched OT speedruns for a long time, you know that getting to the boomerang room usually requires bringing Rudo all the way through the dungeon, but no longer needed. You just skip Rudo completely. And I was gonna say something else, but oh yeah, okay. So the routing for the dungeons. So normally, like in previous routes, you always kind of wanted to do the dungeons all in one go, right? Because you want to enter the dungeon, and obviously you don't want to be constantly backtracking from one dungeon to another dungeon and back and stuff. In this, it's completely different because the entire routing of this run now is all, the dungeons are like so extremely disconnected because it's no longer about you want to enter one dungeon and then, you know, finish it all in one go. It's actually more about checking what room number you're in and seeing what room number that corresponds to in other dungeons that could be useful that you could get to easily. And so, like, for example, that room in Dodongo's Cavern loaded this room in Shadow Temple, so let's go in that room in Dodongo's Cavern, warp away, loads this room in Shadow Temple. We can get to this room much quicker than we could if we just entered Shadow Temple normally and stuff. And so here in Shadow Temple, so again I have this tilt thing, and this tilt is actually useful here. You can actually use it to clip through this gate as child. And with F-boots I can just hop up here, grab this Skulltula real quick. And one of the slowest parts of Shadow Temple was always the boat, because you had to play Zelda's Lullaby and watch this cutscene and sit on the boat for a long time, but instead you can just fly across the river with F-boots and bomb chi boosting. No, this is the macro, not a video. Yes, there is a chance this will crash. In fact, it already crashed earlier, but I'm pretty sure it was just a random VC crash, which is really interesting. Anyway, so yeah, you can just use F-boots to cross the entire thing and skip the boat completely. Yes, that was a Stalfos, because I actually crossed the point where the Stalfos would normally spawn on the boat, and so it spawned the Stalfos, and then he just dropped to his death instantly. Poor guy. So here's another warp coming up, so another angle setup. This one is going to be to Zelda. 4A is Zelda's courtyard. So there's actually going to be a cutscene coming up, so I can kind of take a break. Well, actually, I kind of want to take a break, but I also need to... I think I need to explain something I didn't explain in detail before yet. So you see, I'm using a few different things to do warps. Like, sometimes I die, sometimes I void out, and sometimes I use Furo's Wind. And so there's sort of two different categories. So certain things will split. Oh yeah, the pause screen. Yeah, pause screen is kind of glitched up, which causes some graphical glitches sometimes. Okay, so there's like two categories for ways you can warp. So there's coordinates and room. I like kind of glossed over this earlier, but I should go into more detail about it. So there's coordinates and room number, which Furo's Wind and regular voiding out will use. So if you void out or use Furo's Wind, then it will take your stored respawn coordinates and stored room number, whatever room you were loaded in or whatever room Furo's Wind was set in, and use those coordinates to determine where you spawn. The other category is Deaths and Wall Masters, and also Special Voids, which I'll get into later. But Deaths and Wall Masters will always set you at a specific entrance point, so they won't care about where your coordinates were or what room number is going to be loaded. It's a specific entrance point, like there, when I died and went to Zelda, that specifically loaded me at the entrance to Zelda's courtyard. And earlier on when I went to Double Magic, that specifically loaded me at the entrance to the Double Magic Fairy Fountain, and not like, you know, some other random thing. And so, And so yeah, so those two different types of warps are going to be really useful in the run, because sometimes you want to have a specific room loaded, and that lets you, like, you know, skip in between rooms, skip having to actually manually enter that room by going through other rooms. And sometimes you want a specific entrance because you just want to be, you know, at that map. It doesn't matter about the room number, you just want to go right there. Okay, I think I can take a break from explaining stuff for a little bit. We got a minute of cutscene left, and I think I covered everything I need to cover so far. Okay, how's your day, guys? I am hydrating. This took me like a little less than a week to make. I think, like, hour-wise, I think it took me like 20 hours or so. Okay, so you can do a really cool Zelda like cutscene skip here by just hopping out of bounds and jump slashing. Normally you need to just like die or something, but now you can just hop out. Yeah, 2020 Zelda by cutscene skip. Okay, so here I actually have to dupe over that glitched item. So that glitched item was actually Shadow Medallion. It is not supposed to be a C item. It's either an item that acts like eye drops or crashes or does something else like that. But I need to get rid of that. It's actually not what I wanted. Oh, that reminds me, I never actually talked about Bunny Hood and Eyeball Frog. So you saw in the menu there. Actually, I should talk about this. So I had to do OI there to make it night. So one, making it night makes it so that when you go back into guards, you actually get start at the beginning of guards. And oh yeah, and also that means guards is completely skipped in this run. But also, even if guards weren't skipped, F-boots actually prevent the guards from catching you. Because also, another thing that was found recently by the decomp team, people that are working on decompiling the entire game, is that the way guards work is they actually check if your Y acceleration, or essentially your gravity, is -4 or lower. And with F-boots, unless you jump slash, it's never -4, and you can't even jump slash there. So they literally can't catch you with F-boots. But also, it needs to be nighttime for this warping thing to work. It just crashes if you do it during the day. And so here in Forest Temple, flying helps a lot. So you can do a cool little jump there. Yeah, big shoutouts to Fig, who's been doing a lot of decomp stuff. They also can't see you above or below 60 units, so you can hover right over them. Nice. Yeah, you still take fall damage with F-boots jump slash. Yeah, when you do a jump slash actually forces gravity on Link, and so a jump slash essentially just acts entirely normal. And so yeah, there's a cutscene skip there. You just catch the bugs as the cutscene's starting and lets you get down here early. We were thinking of potentially just warping to this room, but didn't really work out that well. So we ended up just going here normally. Forest Temple is actually one of the more normal dungeons. It's... And you know, when I say normal, I mean... just compared to what's done in other dungeons. Obviously this is not quite normal, but yeah. The F-boots are actually really cool for this section. Check that out, that quick recoil back to the door. Yes, very normal. Quick put away is not used in the run. I would love to find the use of quick put away, but unfortunately no. What's the most difficult part of this run? Memorizing every single angle setup and not failing any of them, because if you fail a single one out of the like 90 plus in the run, then you will crash. I'd say that's the hardest part. Speaking of them, another one coming up right now. This angle setup is going to go to Fire Temple. Gonna warp away. I'll turn collision view on because it'll be out of bounds. So this is Fire Temple. This is the big lava room. That room in front of me is like one of the rooms where you free a Goron and get the keys from. And so the room in Fire Temple that's loaded is the boulder room that's way high above here. And so we can actually use a ground jump with F boots to just fly up. And I actually don't want to go too far forward because that room in front of me actually does have or it's actually not the boulder room loaded, but the room in front of me, the like central room loaded. There's actually a load trigger that can like suck you in if you get too close to it, so I actually have to stand a bit far back. So I can enter that room and leave that room, which loads this room, so I can get here very quickly. Much quicker than like normally getting up here. And yeah, you can see the 20 keys that I RBA'd earlier. So you can get that Skulltula, jump up over to this elevator, split. Yeah, so if you crash, you can save and continue. So you actually have plenty of opportunities to save in this run. Like saving is actually a very good backup for like potential crashes. The one thing is you have to make sure you always save with Farore's Wind loaded, because I actually don't know if I ever went over this earlier, but whenever you enter an area normally, then the glitch will deactivate. So like if I were to just leave Fire Temple or play a warp song, or if a cutscene plays that like loads a different area, like what happened at Zelda, any of those will deactivate the warping glitch, and to reactivate it, you need to use Farore's Wind again. So if you want to save and reset, and you want to have a save as a backup, you always need to save with Farore's Wind set. If Farore's Wind is not set and you crash and you reset, then the only way to reactivate the glitch is doing the SRM again, which is a lot. Alright, so that's it for the Fire Temple stuff, or not that's it for the Fire Temple stuff, but that's mostly it. Okay, I'll actually split properly this time. We're gonna warp back to Jabu, where I set Farore's Wind earlier, corresponds to this room in Jabu. I'll set collision view. Well, I guess that was kind of late for collision view. So this loads this room in Jabu. This is the room right before the boss. That damage is kind of intentional. It's kind of slow, but I also do need to take damage soon. And so I can get all the... Because I don't have to meet Rudo, because I got Boomerang without Rudo, I can get all the gold Skulltulas really quickly. Oh, so this is actually a very scary room with F-boots. If you ever take damage that sends Link upwards with F-boots, it's essentially a soft lock. So if you get hit by those bubbles or anything that like knocks Link back in the air, those will all just soft lock you because you're permanently moving upwards and you are unable to jump slash. So you're just stuck permanently moving upwards forever. Unless you manually re-equip your Curie boots, but then, you know, you lose your boots, and that's really important for this run. Yeah, Jabu's finally good. It's amazing. So I can get these skulls quickly. And I'm gonna go over to this wall for an angle setup. So one cool thing about angle setups and walls is that some angle setups, like if you were to only do them from cardinal directions, would be kind of bad. But rooms with a lot of different walls give you a lot of different opportunities for like different starting points for angle setups, and like that wall in particular, you know, has a very good angle for getting here in Dodongo's Cavern, so I can load to Dodongo's Cavern from King Dodongo's room. And it's really good that I can load here. So like you can actually load from the boss room instead of like, you know, just from the entrance. So this is going to be in Water Temple. I just turned collision view on. So this is that room with like the rolling rocks and the tektites and the like water vortexes and stuff. I'm gonna use F-boots and recoiling off a bomb to clip out of bounds. Well, actually it's not clipping out of bounds, there's just no ceiling there. But I'm going across a large amount of water temple. That right there is Dark Link's room in front of me, and I load into the Longshot room. So yeah, that room in Dodongo's Cavern where I set Fro's Wind, that room number corresponds to the room number for Longshot room being loaded. And so there's the Longshot very quickly. And I can jump down here. The Song of Time block there is not loaded because I'm child. And it's one of the Song of Time blocks that... The Song of Time blocks that are actually programmed correctly, they exist in opposite timelines, so that like if it's loaded as adult, then it won't be there as child, and if you play Song of Time there as adult, then it'll actually go back to the child timeline. It actually only exists for some Song of Time blocks because some of them are permanent flags and some of them are temporary flags, and the ones that are temporary flags obviously can't, you know, properly act like that. But the permanent ones like that do actually get sent back to the proper timeline. That's why the Song of Time block wasn't there. And then also in that vortex room, obviously there was that cool F-boots floating to like grab the Skulltula while floating. And then you can use one of the vortexes to void back to Dodongo's Cavern quickly. And I can float across here. Go in this room. Gonna set Fro's Wind in this room, and this is gonna be another warp to Shadow Temple. And then so this room in Dodongo's Cavern is going to correspond to a room in Shadow Temple. It's actually the room with it's the room with the pot that you have to blow up that spawns a key. There's also a gold Skulltula there. I have collision view on also, but it's this is kind of far away. You're starting to see collision now. But that's actually like near the entrance of Shadow Temple. That's that initial shaft you go down at the beginning. And here is the Skulltula that I was gonna get. Oh, I should also show Link's hitbox with the tilted thing, because Link's hitbox, I actually have hitbox viewer on right now. So you see, Link's hitbox is actually like a pancake when you're tilted like this. So it doesn't change Link's hitbox horizontally, but his hitbox is like compressed down to that proper size of him being tilted. And again, the tilt is just because it's just a property of that warp. Like certain glitched warps just happen to tilt Link, and it just happens to be that the fastest warp to Shadow Temple will always tilt Link, so that basically every time we go to Shadow we'll be tilted. And so that was another death warp to a specific entrance. So that was the entrance, Spirit Temple from the boss door, which is really good. That means you're just right in the middle of Spirit instead of having to go through Spirit. So I can get this Skulltula down here, get some bomb chews, because I'm running low on bomb chews. So this is actually going right back to Shadow. Gonna do another angle setup for Shadow. Shadow has basically the easiest angle setup. It's literally just one ESS turn from 0. So that boulder that like blocks the light isn't actually solid. More collision view here. So this is actually Dead Hand's room in Shadow Temple for hover boots. Oh, you know what? This fight is actually good with hitbox viewer on. Let me turn hitbox viewer for this. So we actually drink green potion intentionally. So I equip swap the green potion there, so that it doesn't actually get rid of the green potion and just lets me drink it for free. And this Dead Hand fight is actually a lot harder when tilted because your hitbox is so much lower. So the best thing to do is actually a charged spin that hits him as he's going underground. And you can also see like how low Link's hitbox is, and just see Dead Hand's hitboxes in general. And see Link from underground there. Split. Okay, so this time I'm gonna go back to Bomb of the Well. So the room loaded in Bomb of the Well is one of the gold Skulltula rooms with the keys. And I'm actually almost right above it. I can just float a little bit and jump right into the room. Right in front of the Skulltula. And even though I jumped into the room, I still need the key to get out of the room, which is kind of silly. So now I can set Furrow's Wind here. And for this next part, there's one part of the ceiling in bottom of the well that isn't solid. There's like this little gap between that gate there and the main area. There's like a little rectangle gap in the ceiling that just isn't solid, and so you can just side hop through there to get directly into the cage. Gets me highlight shield quickly and that gold Skulltula. Then I do a quick angle setup here. This is gonna go back to Dodongo's Cavern. And yeah, that was very close to the like. Oh yeah, getting caught by a like is basically a soft lock too, because the like will spit you out and you'll be eternally flying and unable to land unless you unequip your boots. So I gotta get some DC Skulltulas. You can really see the speed boost of F-boots here. I actually need some hearts coming up, so I actually do want to get hearts from these guys. These guys have like a very high chance to drop heart, or like, because you're killing 3 of them, it's a very high chance that you'll get some hearts from them. And then here I can cross a lot of Dodongo's Cavern just with a quick boost here. It's kind of slow to set up because I have to be moving backwards so that the chew doesn't hit me. But I can use it to boost across the entire room. And go over here. And I want to enter this room specifically on one side of the door for setting my coordinates to the right place for where I want to warp to next. And so now we just get these 2 Skulltulas in here. We can just slide hop right up the stairs. Yeah, F-Boots' child are faster than Adult Link. Adult Link's max speed backwalking is 9, and F-Boots' max backwalking speed is 10.08, so it actually is just a little bit faster. So doing another angle setup here, this is going to go to Spirit. This is actually a cool clip here. I'll turn on Collision View for this. There's actually a small gap near the stairs. You can only really get through it with a Mega Side Hop. Like, otherwise you're just going too slow to actually clip through it. So this puts me in, this room in Spirit Temple is out of bounds, but it's right in front of this door to this room. And in this room, I need a key for later, so I can use Din's Fire here. Boomerang the skull. Get this key. And here's the first use of a Wall Master. So I mentioned earlier how Wall Masters are similar to deaths, where they set you at a specific entrance. So there are some times where dying is kind of inconvenient, and a Wall Master is not inconvenient, and so you actually want to set a specific angle and then get grabbed by a Wall Master, and this will take you to a specific entrance. In this case, the upper child side of Spirit Temple, which is very close to this gold Skulltula over here, which is why I need a key. I can just float over it and kill it. I actually need health here because I'm gonna... You're voiding out so much in this that you need a lot of health, which actually... It's kind of bad that you're at such low health early on, because you need a lot of health here. So this, you can do a really easy clip there, and then just... I actually want angle 0, so I'm going to Decatry. I literally just hold right, and you void out with angle 0. This part is really cool. So this is the back room gold Skulltula in Decatry loaded, and that jump slash just barely lands in this room and kills the Skulltula. You don't actually need it to be that precise, because you can actually just land in the other unloaded room next to this and then just enter the door normally, and that's way safer. But that jump slash just barely works and kills the Skulltula at the same time, and it's super cool. And then I got another angle set up there and die to the gold Skulltula. Yeah, split. I'm just gonna skip that split. Or not gold Skulltula, regular Skulltula. And that sets me at Ganon's Castle. So, Ganon's Castle and Hyrule Castle are actually considered different maps. So you cannot actually use this to like go to general adult maps. Like, you can't use this to go to, say, adult version of Zora's River or adult version of Lake Hylia or something. But because Ganon's Castle is a completely separate map from Hyrule Castle, you can actually go to Ganon's Castle as child. And then after getting that gold Skulltula, I can void out with an angle to Zora's Fountain. Quickly go to Zora's Fountain, grab these 2 skulls. I assume adult and child fishing is the same way. It should be. Quickly use a bomb chew to get across the entire lake right there. Grab this skull. Use this while doing angle setup. This angle setup is going to go to Goron City, specifically Goron City from Death Mountain Crater, so next to Darunia. The Ganon's Castle lava is not one of the special voids. So a special void actually sets you to a specific coordinate, or a specific entrance, sorry, just like a death or a Wallmaster would. So you saw how when I loaded in Zora's Fountain, I was like very far out of bounds at very special coordinates. So that was like a regular old void, not a special void. The special voids will be coming up after the next non-warping section. So this is a warp to Goron City. So I actually intentionally go slow for this next section. You see I'm like not even rolling here. You actually go too fast with F-boots to make the cycle to bomb chew the Goron above there. So I actually intentionally go slow. No, the Shadow Temple Crushers are not or actually that might be a special void, I'm not actually sure. So the special voids at least used in this run are certain voids in Spirit Temple and in Dampé's Grave, getting crushed in Dampé's Grave, and also Haunted Wasteland, but I don't actually use the Haunted Wasteland one in this. And also there's one at Death Mountain Trail too. So there's really only a few specific special voids. So yeah, this is like kind of standard, well, standard but with F-boots. Oh yeah, bomb bag. Or no, I guess like that's Goron City, not just bomb bag. Yeah, Goron City has his dead. So this next angle is going to Lakeside Lab. This is actually a super easy angle setup. It's just a few ESS turns. I just do a few ESS turns and then die on the rock. Okay, and here, finally use that frog. So I forgot to mention this earlier, but way earlier in the run when I first did that item slot SRM that was glitching all my item slots. Why do I even have separate splits for these? Maybe that should be like enter Goron City or something. So when I did the glitched item slot stuff, it put a frog in the Nehru's Love slot and also Bunny Hood in the first bottle slot. And so those are both really important because if the frog is in the normal adult trade item slot, it means that if you ever die, it'll get turned into prescription, because normally like during the trade quest, if you fail to deliver it on time, then it turns into the last non-timer item, which is prescription. But when the frog is not in that adult trade item slot, when it's in some other different slot, then it's not affected by death. And so that's why we wanted the frog in the Nehru's Love slot, so that we can die freely. The Bunny Hood is similar. If the Bunny Hood was in the regular child trade item slot, then when I met Zelda, when I got Zelda's letter, that would have actually overwritten the Bunny Hood. But since the Bunny Hood is in the bottle slot, Bunny Hood just stays there and I don't have to worry about anything overwriting it. And yeah, the heart piece at the top of the lab is super free with F-boots. You also saw I used the slingshot there to like stop my sideways momentum, so if you ever want to just move straight upwards, you just pull out slingshot. Okay, and also the reason for this timer in the first place. This isn't actually for getting Big Goron Sword or anything. You can't get Big Goron Sword as child. but it's actually going to be used for a cutscene skip / wrong warp. For anyone that was watching Hundo a few years ago, before the switch to VC, the last N64 Hundo route actually did a wrong warp using a frozen timer to go from the Zelda escape cutscene to the Nocturne of Shadow cutscene, and it's back. We actually use it in this run. Yeah, it's like the odd mushroom route, except with frog instead of mushroom. Yeah, frozen timer, wrong warp for 6. So when this timer expires, I'm actually going to void out and freeze it, and I can use that frozen timer for a wrong warp shortly after. So this Hyrule Field movement is kind of awkward, because... So the thing with a frozen timer is that a frozen timer unfreezes based on certain text box types, and one of the text box types is actually in Saria's song, so we actually use Saria's song to do the unfreezing. The problem is that runner guy that you sell the bunny hood to also has that same text box type that unfreezes the timer. Technically you can avoid it if you close the text boxes frame perfectly, but in a real run you probably don't want to risk that. So we actually have to sell bunny hood to runner guy before freezing the timer. And I also have to double equip swap Zelda's letter there, because this puts sold out over the Zelda's letter slot. And if I didn't have it equipped, I'd just lose Zelda's letter permanently. And I need it to give it to the guard to open the Happy Mask shop later on. And so now, from after selling it to runner guy, now we go to Gerudo Valley. So ideally we go to Gerudo Valley first, and then runner guy, and then the wrong warp, but just because of that text box issue with his text box unfreezing the timer, it's just safer to do it this way. So now we can just do Gerudo Valley stuff. Don't even need the cuckoo. Just fly over here yourself. Okay, no one can ever make the joke about failing this ever again. You can't possibly fail this with F-boots. Someone's gonna find a way to fail it with F-boots anyway. But that joke isn't allowed anymore. And so I also need to start breaking sticks. I need to break 6, I'm gonna need 0 later for RBA. So I use that time while waiting for the skull to let it break some. And then also I'm gonna have to wait for the timer to run out. So I'll use that time to break some too. So just breaking a bunch of sticks now. So this seems like kind of a lot of time to waste, but realistically in an actual run, I probably wouldn't have this much time. Like in a run, this would actually probably be very close. But obviously since this is like with save states and I'm not making mistakes, then I'm gonna have plenty of time to spare. So here I'm gonna wait so I can freeze the timer at the right time. So this is actually a part where F-boots are worse than Kokiri boots, because there's actually a much easier out of bounds with Kokiri boots than with F-boots. With F-boots I actually have to hop over an invisible wall here, so I'll actually use collision view to show how big this invisible wall is. Like, I already passed the waterfall a long time ago, but just there. So yeah, with F-boots you actually have to hop over the entire thing, whereas with Kokiri boots you can actually just do a side hop to clip out of bounds there. So now I voided out at the same time the timer was expiring, and that freezes the timer at 0 seconds. The timing for that's actually not hard at all. It's you got a good like 1.5 seconds leniency. Split. Okay, so now I'm gonna head over to the cutscene trigger for the Zelda escaping cutscene, and I can use this frozen timer to wrong warp there. But first, I actually need to do RBA. So this is actually the more important reason for the green potion. is I'm going to RBA Green Potion here, and RBA Green Potion puts a bottle over your adult trade item slot. In this case, it's going to put a bottle over the eye drops, where the eye drops were. So normally when you expire, when a timer expires, it checks your adult trade item slot to determine where you warp to. If it's, you know, eye drops, then you go back to King Zora where you got prescription. If it's odd potion, then you go back to where you got, or odd mushroom, then you go back to Lost Woods where you got the odd mushroom. If you have a bottle or like something not normal in that item slot, it'll actually set you to your last entrance point. So it'll set me, in this case, from Hyrule Field to, or Gerudo Valley to Hyrule Field. So then there, I entered the cutscene trigger while playing Saria's Song. I mentioned Saria's Song has one of those text boxes that unfreezes the timer. So I play Saria's Song, close out of the text box quick enough so that the timer warp happens and the cutscene starts. And so the cutscene tries to start, and the cutscene value of the cutscene trying to start combined with the game trying to set me to my last entrance point of Hyrule Field from Gerudo Valley happens to wrong warp you to the Nocturne of Shadow cutscene. Is this run child only? It is about 2/3 child, or probably more than 2/3 child actually. Yeah, this is like a standard run. This isn't like a new wrong warp. This is like basic 2013 wrong warping here. This isn't new. It's new to you. Okay, if it's new to you, that's fine. But it's just, this isn't like, I'm just saying this isn't like one of the new crazy things. It's just like, there's an old thing that found its way back into the run. Alright, so now the best part of the run, not actually the best part of the run, but we finally do Cuckoos. So Cuckoos is not at the beginning of the run now. It's, you know, midway through the run. And we use F-Boots for it. So Cuckoos are slightly different now. So I didn't actually spend too much time like trying to figure out the most optimal route for Cuckoos. I think there's probably something more you can do with F-Boots. But yeah, this route is like sort of similar to the previous route. I think you can do more with it, but I didn't want to spend too much time on it because it's complicated. Oh yeah, gravity. Yeah, so Cuckoos actually force gravity on Link, so Cuckoos actually will make Link fall. It's just they normally force lower gravity, but in this case they force higher gravity. This part is actually really awkward. It's like really hard to get the Cuckoos to run in the way I want them to. Yeah, F-Boots, well, F-Boots have general higher airspeed than Kukuri Boots. So that general higher airspeed also means higher speed with Cucco, yeah. Split. So now I'm making it nighttime to get the Kakariko skulls. These are actually pretty cool, these go by pretty quickly. So I gotta keep breaking more sticks because I want to RBA soon. So I'm just gonna be abusing sticks here. And this one's really cool. So I can side hop up here and then jump slash this Skulltula on the tower here. And then slide up to grab it. So now I gotta give this guy the letter that I had equip swapped. So again, this is just because this is needed to open the Happy Mask shop. Yeah, I essentially can't backflip. So actually, I don't think I mentioned this before, but if I backflip, it's basically... It's sort of a soft lock. There's kind of a way out of it, but if you do a backflip, you can't jump slash out of a backflip, so you're kind of just stuck. The exception is if you pull a bomb, you can actually shield the bomb. How precise it is depends on the situation, but usually it's frame perfect. But you can shield the bomb, which will take you out of the backflip state and actually allow you to jump slash. But yeah, so basically backflipping is bad and you don't want to backflip. So I can use a Chew there to just boost up Death Mountain Trail real quick. Drop this bomb right in front of Dodongo's Cavern to open the thing, and go grab this heart piece. Yeah, shoutouts to whoever found how to escape backflipping. Whoever that is. Frames? Am I dropping frames? No, dude. Okay, so I do RBA here. So I RBA'd Magic Beans, which seems weird, but that puts the bottle over the Lightero slot. You might have noticed earlier there was a Hylian Shield in that slot. Hylian Shield is just a glitched item, it's not actually real Hylian Shield. But the bugs there is just for convenience, it just makes it easier to manage bugs, because I can just equip swap those bugs. Collision view, hello. And so going back into the warping thing, why am I dropping frames, dude? So I go back into the Dodongo's Cavern so I can use Foro's Wind again, which lets me reactivate the warping glitch, and so I warp straight to Lost Woods. And so Lost Woods is another case just like Shadow Temple, where the fastest warp angle actually happens to be an angle that tilts you. So I'm actually doing another SRM completely tilted. So this is another SRM. This is going to be another item slot SRM, but this is going to be for different item slots this time. So again, I'm kind of running around and doing random things just to set up memory in a specific way. So that when I super slide off this piece of grass and do a specific angle setup here, this is going to begin modifying certain item slots in my inventory. And so you'll start, I'll be pausing here and you'll start seeing glitched items appear. So there I'm going to equip Bomb Bag 20. And here's going to be Poe. And after I fail equip swap with save states. Actually no, I couldn't save state during this section because save stating during SRM usually desyncs. So I actually had to do SRM sections usually in one go. Yeah, ESS turns while tilted are great. I love it. And then that last one I didn't pause for it yet, but that last one put Prescription in the Adult Trade item slot and a glitched item, which is English Zora's Sapphire in Bottle 4 slot. You see those two TV static items. One of them is English Zora's Sapphire, which I'll use as eye drops to get Big Orange Sword later on. So right there, I RBA'd Poe. That gives me more bomb shoes because I was running out of bomb shoes. This RBAing Bomb Bag 20 on C right gives me Water Temple keys, so I just got 20 Water Temple keys. And then catching these bugs with Poacher Saw on C right modifies mostly songs. So actually, usually with RBAing Poacher Saw, you're using that to give yourself songs. In that case, I actually deleted songs. So way back at the beginning of the run, when I did Quest Status SRM, that actually gave me most songs. But there's actually an issue with that, where a lot of the songs, having them actually prevents you from getting them from source. For example, Sun Song and Saria's Song, I would not be able to actually get from source if I had them in my inventory. So that Poacher Saw is actually used to delete the songs rather than to get the songs. That way that I can now actually get those songs from source. It just happened to be useful to have those songs early on. And so now I can void there. I voided with an angle that goes back to bottom of the well. And my stored coordinates were still the coordinates from bottom of the well. So I set Furrow's Wind there. Grab this Skulltula real quick. Split. And so here's another Wallmaster warp. So Wallmaster again means that I'll be put at a specific entrance rather than a specific coordinate and room number. This is actually going to put me right at Sunsong Grave, right in front of Learning Sunsong. Don't even need to enter, don't need to do the stairs, don't need to go through the Redead area. Just right in front of it. And so I mentioned earlier how going in any area normally deactivates the glitch. So in that case, that cutscene actually like loads the graveyard and loads a different area. So that actually deactivates the warping glitch. Again, I can reactivate it at any time by just warping back to Furrow's Wind. But that does mean the glitch is deactivated right now, so I'm actually going to use this time to go to Death Mountain Crater and actually do some collecting over here. Oh yeah, this run is going to be insanely hard. This is easily going to be the hardest Hundo route ever. So I gotta get the Soil Skull here. I'm gonna dupe over this Deku Shield here, get that Deku Shield out of my bottle slot, and also plant the Magic Bean. So this Magic Bean has not been used in Hundo for a very long time, but will actually get used to. So Death Mountain Crater is really cool, because we can just do this. Just recoil over to this heart piece here. And now recoil over to the heart piece on the mountain. And then recoil over to the top. And I'm actually running low on bombs, so I'm actually gonna head into this grotto and grab the bomb chest in here. Yeah, Old Faithful Bomb Grotto. Haven't been in there in a while. One last Skulltula up here. And so I mentioned earlier how it has to be nighttime for the warping glitch to work, and when I got Sunsong earlier, Sunsong set it to daytime because it was nighttime and it sets it to daytime during the cutscene. So I actually have to place Sunsong there, but I can also use that Sunsong to warp closer to Fire Temple, so I can just go back into Fire Temple here. This is useful because one, there's still one Skulltula at the very bottom of Fire Temple I need to get, and this is just a very quick way to get there. And two, being in a dungeon means I'm able to use Furrow's Wind, so I can quickly reactivate the warping glitch again. So this room actually really sucks without a sword, so doing this is kind of dumb. Also, these guys always drop magic, which is really good because not sure if you guys noticed, but this run uses quite a lot of magic. This might be like the most magic heavy, or it's gotta be for sure the most magic heavy run ever. Yeah, the Seed ISG, that's really dumb. Also, these tile rooms are super annoying. Like, because in both of the tile rooms in Fire Temple, I have to do warp setups, and having to do warp setups while they're attacking me is super annoying. So I'm warping back with Furrow's Wind. This puts me in this room in Spirit Temple. This is actually the compass room, and what's really interesting about this room is there's actually a void above this room. So I do a forward side hop there, and that hits the void above it. So this is actually one of the special voids I was talking about earlier. Whereas Spirit Temple actually has specific voids that don't set you back to your like stored entrance point or room number or anything. It actually sets you back to the entrance in Spirit Temple. But in this case, with this warping glitch, we can actually use it to set you to a specific entrance in general, just like dying or wall mastering. So I can actually use it to spawn right in front of Shadow Trial in Ganon's castle and very quickly get gold gauntlets. And then immediately after getting gold gauntlets, I can just void into Forest Temple. So this is Forest Temple right now. This is one of the outdoor courtyard rooms. And I'm going to set a ground jump. So the room that's loaded is actually one of the Poe rooms next to the bow room. So I have to do a ground jump and jump all the way over the enormous walls in Forest Temple. For some reason, these walls are just like gigantic. So this is the bow room, and this is the room that's actually loaded. So I can actually walk in here and walk out. And so here I have to jump down and start this fight. So the way the fight for the bow works is that you actually have to beat the Stalfos on the lower part of the room, and then after you beat those, you have to re-enter the room starting from a certain Y coordinate for the second fight to start. And for this part, it's actually kind of weird because to reload the room, I actually have to set Furrow's Wind, but I can't just like do a normal Furrow's Wind set, so I actually have to use Furrow's Wind and use a specific angle to warp to Forest Temple so that I can essentially use Forest Temple like normal. Wait, am I still dropping frames? What? Hello? But yeah, so warping back with Furrow's Wind means that I entered the room at a specific height, high enough to actually trigger the second fight. And so now I can do the second fight and get the bow. And so that skips like all the entire going around Forest Temple working up to the bow room. And I bonk on the chest. I don't know why I'm dropping frames. I'm local recording this anyway, so whatever. When I upload to YouTube, it'll just be a recording. Okay, so after the bow room, I'm gonna do another void here. There's a very easy out of bounds I can do just by jump slashing against that wall. Do some spins and jump slash. Gonna set collision view on. And so this void is gonna take me to Spirit Temple. This is going to be, this actually loads the room with the rolling rocks and the silver rupees. So I have collision view on so you can like see where in Spirit Temple this is. And so I could just fall directly into the room, but I actually want to fall into the room next to it and enter the door. This is just so that Furrow's Wind actually gets set here. You could actually just enter the room normally and then like go through the door and then back in, but then you have to hit a switch, so it's just like slightly faster to do it like that. So this room's pretty cool. There's a Skulltula behind the Song of Time block, and you can clip through it by going in here, and this is actually another collision view area, so I'm actually out of bounds again. I'm actually in the room next to it, but like on some out of bounds collision. And I throw the boomerang so that it comes back through the Song of Time block. Then do another angle setup here to avoid. And then this this room is going to correspond to a room in Fire Temple. This is actually the Hammer room. The problem is the Hammer room is all the way at the top of Fire Temple, and I am all the way at the bottom of Fire Temple. This is the big lava room, like one of the first rooms in Fire Temple. So I set a ground jump, and I jump all the way up Fire Temple, past all of this stuff. But right here, I'm just passing through the Fire Maze room. So one of the really cool things about jumping up Fire Temple like this is that Fire Temple basically has like no ceilings. Fire Temple just, for some reason, most rooms in Fire Temple just don't have a solid ceiling. Which is really good in a situation like this where I need to jump up the entire dungeon from out of bounds. Like you can actually see in this room, you see how there's like no coloring on the ceiling there? That means there's no collision there. That just means there's just no ceiling. And so after getting the hammer, I do another angle setup. Time to die again. This one is going to Lon Lon Ranch. Yeah, the keys, if the keys hits you during that side hop jump slash, then you're just screwed. That'd be so bad if that happened to run. So Lon Lon, actually I can use collision view to show like how big the gate is here. Like look at how high that invisible wall stretches, it's ridiculous. But yeah, F-boots make this a lot faster. This is also another place where if you randomly get sniped out of the air by a Gwei, that'd be hilarious and awful. So in this room, so normally you have to go through a crawl space here and crawl to get with a heart piece behind here. But with F-boots, if you go into a crawl space, you actually get stuck and it's just impossible to move. So we can't use that crawl space, so we go out of bounds, jump through a window, and jump slash recoil past it and into this room to grab the heart piece, which is super cool. So now I have to make it daytime to get Zelda's, or not Zelda, Epona song. Why is there a window? I don't know. I have no idea why there's a window in there. There just is. That room is surprisingly tall. That room is like actually like huge. Like it extends upwards so high when there's no reason for it to. No, stop dropping frames. Blame Twitch. Actually, it's probably my internet, but I don't know why. But blaming Twitch is easier. It's okay. When I upload this to YouTube, I have a local recording, so there won't be any drops. So I can do another quick mega slide hop here. Oh, also, one thing I never mentioned, Hessing is actually not possible with F-boots. I think it's ESS in general, just like doesn't do anything to your speed with F-boots. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but yeah, there is no Hessing with it. Well, except with Neighbor's Love. You can Hess with Neighbor's Love, but not any other way. Well, no, it doesn't make Neighbor's Love useful. It's not actually. Oh, split. Neighbor's Love still isn't actually useful, but just if for some reason you really wanted to Hess with F-boots, then you could do that. Oh yeah, exiting that door is really dumb, because it's actually like 1 unit higher than the ground. And so with F-boots, because you're above the ground, you have to jump slash to land there, which is really stupid. Yeah, Hessing is basically dead for the entire time you have F-boots on. Cool recoil here. Stealth Children being useful. And so back at that cutscene skip I did earlier, the wrong warp to Nocturne, that does put the Ocarina in the moat, so I can just go over here and grab it. Ocarina of Time split. Yeah, we're just replacing Hessing with cool aerial movement, which I think is a fair trade. Yeah, this run is pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, the macro is going to be up for download. I have a it'll have all the save states and the macro and also a watch list for download. Which means that you'll be able to play this back on your very own console, assuming you are on VC. But yeah, you'll be able to play this back on VC by yourself. So I'm gonna play Minuet here. I actually still need to get Saria's song, so even though I used Saria's song earlier, that was because of the quest status SRM. So I got Saria's song from that. But then I deleted it with Poacher's Saw, which means I can now actually get a real Saria's song from source. Oh yeah, this cutscene is great. Link's walking, this cutscene is so good. And I can go back into Forest Temple, and this means that I can use Froze Wind to reactivate the warping glitch. This is gonna go back to Spirit Temple. So this is going to be using another one of those special voids that I mentioned. This void near the silver block here is another special void that puts me at a specific entrance rather than coordinates. So I float back here with an angle for Sacred Forest Meadow, even though I was just here. But the important thing is that I actually need to be here with the glitch active, whereas when I just learned Saria's song, the glitch was not active. So it may seem a little redundant, but it is important. So I do some bottle swapping here to dupe over milk. I just want to get rid of milk and have that bottle, have a bottle free. And I can do this recoil. Also, this is part of the next SRM setup. I had to spawn that fish in a certain part in memory for the next SRM setup. And I go in this grotto and catch a fairy. So the fairy is both necessary for something later on, and also exiting this grotto also causes a specific warp, so I get an angle that I want for a warp. This angle puts me at Lost Woods, and this actually uses... This actually always puts you at like coordinates near 0, 0, 0. I don't think it's exactly 0, 0, 0, but using those coordinates when leaving a grotto puts you at a good place that's like not necessarily your other stored coordinates, which is good for getting to Lost Woods, so I can do SRM again. So again, this is just a warp angle that happens to tilt you. That's just the fastest warp to Lost Woods, tilts you. And this SRM is actually messing with Carpenter flags. So you know the Carpenters you have to free in Gerudo Fortress? I just freed 3 of the 4 of them with that SRM. And it has to be 3 of them, because if I free all 4, then I can't get Gerudo card, because you get Gerudo card from freeing the 4th. But that's just faster than actually having to free all the guards normally, because freeing the guards normally is just like so slow and boring. And now, Ocarina game, well tilted. At least... The one consolation about Ocarina game in this run is at least it's moderately entertaining because Link is tilted. Also, it's really good when he gets the prizes. Watch this. He just does a complete 180. Yeah, dry tilt link is definitely good thumbnail potential. A clock. One more. Oh yeah, I did miss a split. Whoops. The Ocarina game desync issue from the last time I did a test like this was fixed. Well, fixed as in like Link made a little hack for it to make sure it syncs. But yeah, Ocarina game works properly now. No, the coordinate and code overlays are not allowed in runs at all. This is purely for demonstration purposes. During an actual run, you could not have that angle watch on screen or anything. So you'd have to just trust that you know your angle setups. So this angle setup is going to be for Zora's River. And so the coordinates I'm going to load here are actually still set at Sacred Forest Meadow from the warp pad. This actually sets me out of bounds in Zora's River. I can quickly recoil and land right on this heart here. And jump over here and do the frogs. And so yet again, so even in this route, we still have Ocarina game and frogs back to back. Like in previous routes, they've always been like very close together. And even in this route, with this crazy route, there's still Ocarina game into frogs. Oh my god, why am I dropping frames? Sorry about the frames, guys. Yeah, the macro will be up for download for anyone that wants it. So again, it has to be night for the warping to work, so because it turned day doing all that stuff, I have to make it night again. Then another warp setup. Split. The cool synergy about this glitch with F-boots is just how easy it is to get out of bounds, just like fly out of bounds quickly. So this is Haunted Wasteland with collision view on. The reason this collision view is on is because it's room 0 that's loaded, which is actually the room down here. And the room, like, the main area of Wasteland is actually room 1. Hey Danny, thanks for 51 months. And this part is super cool. So this is actually one part where I do backflip because I can easily shield a bomb to quickly get out of bounds here and void out. And this void out puts me at Dampé's grave, right in front of Dampé, which is just like incredibly convenient. So I can just go straight into racing Dampé. Although racing Dampé is kind of weird with that boost because it's got a lot of downward slopes. But it's still definitely faster overall. But Dampé's still alive. Time paradox. I could have got a 41 there, but whatever. I'll live with 42. So another warp setup here. So Dampé's grave, getting crushed by this door is another one of those special voids that I was talking about, where it'll set me at a specific entrance. So this will put me at a grotto. This is the Web Grotto. This is one of the grottos. This is the grotto close to Gerudo Valley. So I can grab this Skulltula. You can clip through that web just with a side hop jump slash in a specific place. And I do another angle setup here because leaving the grotto will also warp me. This is going to warp me to Spirit Temple. And I set Furrow's Wind here. So this setting Furrow's Wind after a grotto warp is really weird. It actually sets Furrow's Wind at the coordinates and room number of right where I voided back at Dampé's grave. So when I warp back, it's actually going to be the coordinate and room number of like right in front of that door that I voided out from, which is really strange, but I don't know exactly how that works out. But anyway, I can leave Spirit Temple, start the Requiem cutscene, and this cutscene is really interesting. You'll start to notice soon. Jake just continues walking. Disappears. Link is yawning and stretching, completely ignoring Sheik. Link isn't even playing the ocarina. Very far away from where he's supposed to be. Very bored. Why couldn't I wait for April 1st for this? I don't know, man. That'd be too long. Okay, so coming up is actually a macro switch. So this whole run could not actually fit into one macro. It's split into two. And the split is coming up right here. Right as this fade out starts. Alright, time to switch to part 2. Let me pause the timer. Splice. Gotta import part 2. And import the correct save state. Alright, part 2 begin. Gotta flip the disc. Flip to side B. Actual split, yeah. So here, grab the Soil Skull, jump up to the Heart Piece, then jump up to Mirror Shield. Then I can go straight into Spirit Temple. So I'm going to do another warp setup here. This is actually going to go straight back to Dampé's grave, and you'll actually see it, how I go right back in front of the door. Because for some reason Furrow's Wind gets set there. I really don't understand why, but the reason I want to come back here is because I can use that special void again. to warp to Furo's Wind. And this is the Furo's Wind Fairy Fountain. And so the reason I specifically want to warp to Furo's Wind itself is not that important, because like obviously I've had it. I need to still get it from source, because the Furo's Wind I've been using is the Furo's Wind I got from butterfly items, which does not count towards the 100% definition. The actual one from source does. But the real reason I want it, because I could just get Furo's Wind later on, but the real reason is to set my room number and coordinates to the start of the Fairy Fountain. Because before, my room number was like, you know, some high number from Dampé's grave. Because the room number was like, you know, fluctuating all over the run. But I want to go to room 0 now, and Fairy Fountain is... There's only one room in the Fairy Fountain, it's room 0. And also the coordinates are very convenient at the beginning of a Fairy Fountain. So when I void here, it's just going to load... I'm actually going to use angle 0, which means that I'm going to Deku Tree. Because Deku Tree is scene 0. So it'll put my coordinates at a pretty convenient place and load room 0, which is just the first room. Puts me right over the web. Split. Then I can jump slash down here, grab these skulls. Why do I never split? Because I've never run this and I'm still not even running it, I'm just watching a video. Have you ever tried splitting while watching a video for something you've never split for before? Have you ever tried that? Try it, see how accurate you'll be. Okay, so anyway, I set Furo's Wind there. Again, that's still room 0 and those coordinates from the Fairy Fountain. This leads me to Bomb of the Well, and Bomb of the Well is really convenient because of the Wall Masters here. Wall Masters is just really easy to go to wherever I want for a specific entrance. And this entrance is going to be, this is another grotto. This is actually the Song of Storms grotto at Hyrule Castle. This is another one where your spawn is actually like 1 unit above the ground, so I have to jump slash as soon as I enter, which is dumb. Get a nice little bomb drop here. And again, leaving the grotto is also a warp opportunity, so I get an angle to warp, and this is another one to Lost Woods, but this time not tilted. So I actually specifically use a not tilted warp here because it just makes this setup easier. So this is the last SRM of the run, and this will get me Furo's Wind on B. During this SRM, I want to get this slingshot upgrade. How many SRMs total? There are, I think, 10 SRMs total. I think I counted the other day and there's 10. And then, if you want to just count total angle setups for all the warps you needed, it's about 90. So this is the SRM setup for Furo's Wind on B. So again, all this like seemingly random stuff, the playing Song of Storms, dumping the fish, getting these rupees. This is all to set things in memory in just the right place. So the way this SRM is gonna work is it's actually sort of doing adult SRM where like it changes Link's age to adult, but not really. So there goes F boots. So I actually manually unequip F boots. I'll explain why I did that in a sec. Well, part of it is it just makes the setup easier, but also there's another reason for it. So this is sort of making me adult, but also not really. So I mentioned earlier when I did the first SRM for adult that it stored those equips I had as my adult stored equips, which means like if I were to become adult again, it would equip those things again. And I had Bottle on B, and if you know anything about Bottle Adventure, if you have a Bottle on B as adult, and you go back and forth in time as adult again, it'll update your B button to be something based on your C right item. So right there I had long shot equipped, and long shot points to item value 13, and it's going to use my adult stored equips here to reset my equips, which means that my fish that I had earlier on B from my last stored adult equips is going to be Furrow's Wind on B now. Oh, that reminds me, I need to set up some watches here. These are some important watches for anyone that wants to learn this run later. So these are Nocturne cutscene pointer values that'll be really important. And yeah, so because it used my stored adult equips, it also means that it set my boots back to what they were the last time I was adult. And when I did adult SRM, that was before F boots. That was when I still had security boots on. Which means that even if I didn't unequip F boots, that Furrow's Wind on B would actually force unequip F boots. It would actually force security boots back on. And also F boots crash as adult, so I couldn't even do the setup with F boots on in the first place because it would just crash. Because adult just can't use F boots. So here I actually intentionally spawn a Poe. Those numbers at the bottom, you see that number at the bottom just went to negative one something big number. That's important for some warps coming up. This is Nocturne of Shadow cutscene pointer stuff. This is the Nocturne of Shadow cutscene pointer, which is relevant for upcoming wrong warps. And those two values are numbers associated with it. One of them has to be negative for upcoming stuff to work. And that Poe, spawning that Poe is the best thing I could find for forcing it to be a good value. That actually works. Sometimes it can change based on like this skull popping out if you don't spawn the Poe. So that's why spawning the Poe is really important, because that Poe, or spawning this Skulltula without spawning the Poe will usually make it a bad value that'll cause soft locks and crashes. So I want to take a bunch of damage here. This is going to warp away. Back to bottom of the well. I gotta grab a Deku Stick and magic. Split. And so now I'm gonna I'm gonna start the boss rush, or maybe the boss rush already started with Dante. But yeah, so lots of bosses coming up here. But I can actually take off the cutscene pointer stuff. The cutscene pointer stuff shouldn't change at all after this, except for one time in Lake Hylia later. So most of the boss rooms, the boss fights mostly take place in room 1. And in Bomb of the Well there, I was in room 0. So if I were to just use Furrow's Wind to warp into the boss room, it would not actually load the boss fight properly. That's why I want to use the Wallmaster to get in here. And then I'm going to set Furrow's Wind during this fight. And this will force Furrow's Wind to be set in room 1. And at the coordinates for the start of the Baronade fight, which happen to be very convenient coordinates for a lot of the stuff I want to do upcoming soon. So now Furrow's Wind is set in a good place for a lot of the other bosses coming up. So now Baronade fight mostly normal. And also this is another thing where F-boots would have been really bad for. Phantom Ganon and Turnova are part of the boss rush. They're just at the end instead of the beginning. With that, see. So with F-boots, if I were to get hit by Baronade, then I would just go flying and get stuck without being able to fall back down. You could just like avoid getting hit, but then the Baronade fight takes way longer. I split on when I do the warps. Also, for this warp, I need to put up another watch. Oh god, which one is it? I think it's this one. So I use Din's Fire here. This gives you control during the blue warp, so that you can actually target Rudo and it kind of like pulls you back in, and you want to die as you're targeting Rudo so that a text box starts coming up as you die. And this is going to let me use Furrow's Wind as I warp away. And so that watch at the bottom, that varies between 0 and FFFF based on the camera. And you want it to be 0. If it's FFFF, then this warp will actually crash. So that's just important for anyone that wants to learn this. It's like a camera-based angle. You want the camera to be like facing slightly left of center if you're facing like directly towards the door. Just because I know that's going to be something that a lot of people are going to crash on if they don't know what's going on. Oh yeah, so I did not get the heart container. That is intentional. So you saw I died there, obviously. If I got the heart container, that would refill my health. And dying after refilling my health to 10 hearts would just take way too long. So I'm actually making a second trip back to Baronede's room later on to get the heart container. So setting for us to win in the middle of this fight again just lets me warp. Oh yeah, so I should have mentioned, so the reason I went to where I was after Baronede, so that was back to Deku Tree with room 1 loaded. That was because when you do a warp away from any of these, when you do a warp away from any of the dungeons that would typically cause a wrong warp, it actually uses that value that I showed that was fluctuating between 0 and FFFF. So, well, actually for King Dodongo, for King Dodongo and Goma, it's just always 0. But 0 is Deku Tree. Scene 0 is just Deku Tree, and FFFF is just a super crash value. There's not any valid map with value FF. So FF is always going to crash. So warping away with King Dodongo's room is going to always go back to Deku Tree. So I can actually put collision view on. So this is the beginning of Deku Tree, right near the entrance. Doing another angle setup here. This one is going to go to Bongo's room. Gonna go fight Bongo Bongo. Bongo Bongo's not a wrong warp one, so I don't have to worry about that with Bongo. Bongo I can actually warp to where I want to warp to. What? So a quick little fight there. Yeah, Bongo does not combine with F-boots very well. You like drop down into the Bongo fight, and then when you bounce back up, you just bounce back up to the ceiling. So not great. And you're soft locked after the cutscene. So I got a set for Rosewin again for the next warp. So this warp again is actually going to go where I want to warp. It's going to be like an actual real warp. I guess I should have mentioned, because of it always taking me to Deku Tree for Baronede and King Dodongo, I didn't actually need to care about my angle there. I just had to use any angle. This, I actually am taking a specific angle. So I need to step in the warp with this specific angle. So this is going to warp me to Zora's Domain. What? So a small break in the boss rush action. So actually the reason for this break in the boss rush is actually magic. You see I'm very low on magic. I actually need a magic refill and I'm going to get one in Lake Hylia. And this just seemed the best place to do a little splitting up the boss rush and getting magic. Got set for Rosewind here for the next time I warp. So again, going in an area normally is going to deactivate the warping glitch, but then warping back to Roswind later will reactivate it. So I gotta get Rito's letter here. Rito's letter goes over bottle 1. Even though there's no animation, because I have 4 bottles already, it just always goes over bottle 1. And time to go fishing. The next boss in the boss rush. I know the bottles, getting a bottle from source doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what slot the bottles are going in. It just matters that you get them. So far in this run, I've gotten the cocoa bottle from source, the milk bottle at Lon Lon from source, and Ruto's letter from source. It doesn't matter where in the inventory they go, just that you get them. And then, of course, I'll get the pill bottle from source too, when I become adult. Oh yeah, split. I'm gonna super swim over here and play Sun Song here. So the Sun Song has 2 uses. 1, again, it has to be night for the warping, and 2, there's a big fairy here that gives you a magic refill. And so that's just what I needed because I was out of magic and I need a lot more. So then I get an angle for warping back to Baronade's room. Warp back here to grab this heart container that I didn't grab earlier. Set for Rosewind again. And then there's going to be a warp setup for going to Volvagia. Oh yeah, there's something I want to show with Volvagia's room. So for this, you actually warp in the middle of the arena, like under the arena. And you can actually stab Volvagia, because Volvagia's like under the arena before the fight starts. And so using Collision and Hitbox Viewer there, I can show you what that looks like actually. So yeah, you're actually stabbing Volvagia before the fight starts. And that gets Volvagia down to really low health. You can't actually kill Volvagia before the fight starts, obviously, but you can get him down to super low health so that like one hit will kill. And that's all just because the warp coordinates I was using was the same coordinates as the beginning of Baronade's room. And so Baronade's room coordinates just happen to correspond to under the arena there. It's really convenient. Because this is still using Baronade coordinates and room number. I don't think I've ever used a big fairy in a speedrun before, but I know there was an old Hundo VC route that used it. There's actually another watch I need to show here. So just like the Baronade one, there's another camera angle value that can cause a crash when you warp away here, so I just want to show it. I have a setup here that it should always be 0 and not FFFF. But it is important to know because You don't want to just randomly be crashing here. But yeah, I think there was like some super old VC Hundo route, like back when N64 was still faster, that used a big ferry, but yeah, it's first time it's being used back in like another actual fastest route. So this warps back to Spirit Temple. So this is really good. It's Spirit Temple with room 1 loaded. And this is important because it means that the silver block isn't loaded in the beginning. So that means the silver block is not blocking that special void. So I can use that special void to quickly go to Phantom Ganon. Because if room 0 is loaded, then that Spirit Temple block would be blocking the way. And so it's just like perfect synergy, because you want room 1 loaded for... the bosses, and you also want room 1 loaded for the silver block not being there and not blocking the special void. I was thinking of doing it for all dungeons. The problem is it's better doing it after you've already set Furrow's Wind in room 1. But that kind of is an issue with Baronade, because you need to take damage for Baronade, and the 2 bosses best to take damage for are Phantom Ganon and Twinrova, which are the ones that would benefit from putting them later. So like, if you found some better way to take damage, then maybe it would be good for all dungeons. But having to take 14 hearts of damage without using Twinrova and Phantom Ganon for it seems like it might be too bad. So cool thing about Phantom Ganon, the boomerang is basically an insta-stun on Phantom Ganon. So I just like throw the boomerang at him as soon as he gets out, and then insta-stun, easy fight. And then another angle setup here. This is gonna go back to Spirit again, so I can use the special void one more time. You do become adult, but adult is a much smaller part of the run than before. So back to Spirit Temple. And also, when I'm doing these setups in a run, like, obviously I would not actually have collision view on in a run, so I'm actually doing this blind. I'm using collision view off to like show it more easily so that you can actually see what's going on. But in a run, you'd be doing this all blind. And this warps you to Twinrova. And this is actually a really good one, because this warps you directly into the Twinrova arena, like past the Iron Knuckle, which saves a lot of time. Yeah, I think I'll be able to finish an RTA run of this. Like, it'll be hard, but it's definitely doable. Yeah, this is the entire reason for that adult SRM way back in the beginning to equip Mirror Shield. Well, I guess half the reason, because the other half the reason was Furrow's Wind on B. But yeah, equipping Mirror Shield was just for this. Oh yeah, I wonder, has anyone thought that I just like didn't have a shield the entire time? Because shield was just invisible. Mirror Shield was just invisible as a child. Am I sad about this at all? I mean, I definitely think it will be something worse to grind, and I do think long term, probably no SRM categories will be more fun to like grind a lot, but that's exactly why we have the split in the first place, I guess. It's really good that Hundo actually got the split, because we were voting, for those who don't know, we were voting on like splitting categories with SRM and no SRM versions a while ago. And like Hundo was the one that we were thinking like, oh, maybe Hundo doesn't really need an SRM split. And myself included, I thought like, I don't know if Hundo really needs it. But like with this, I think, you know, the SRM split is very needed. But yeah, I think having both the SRM and no SRM options for Hundo is very good. Pretty much get the best of everything. And Mirror Shield looks super cool as Child's. Being invisible, but like still showing the like the beam stored in it. Is there a way to SRM text speed? I don't think so. Well, I mean, I guess I wouldn't put it completely out of the question, but I think it's probably I think there's more to it than just text speed. Is there a way to SRM out of this cutscene? There actually was an idea people were working on for setting the Twin Robo flag being set, but it didn't work out. Or yeah, it works out on GameCube, but not VC. So then warp away again. This is one last trip to Spirit Temple. And this is going to be a setup for going to Double Defense, the Double Defense Fairy Fountain. And split. And here's Double Defense. Why is ISG not used to defeat Phase 2 Twinrova? There's just no reason to. Like, you already are attacking her as fast as possible. You can't possibly attack her faster, like she has a cooldown. And ISG takes time to get, so there's no benefit of ISG. This is not a video. This is a macro being played back on console. So that I can do stuff like this. I can just turn on collision view and hitbox view and whatever I want. And show off cool stuff. So I also set Frozewin there so that I have one last time to actually do the glitch. So I was in the Double Defense Fairy Fountain, and when you leave it, it would normally put you at Ganon's Castle, but because I'm Child, it says, okay, go to Hyrule Castle instead. So it puts you at Hyrule Castle outside of that Fairy Fountain, so I can go right back in and actually get Dins. Dins from Source. So, looks kind of silly, but it's good. In case you wanted to watch more great fairy cutscenes. Hayden, thanks for gifting 10 subs. Lit. So I need to be daytime because I'm doing some market stuff after this. So I get caught intentionally by the guards. So there's still an owl here that wants to talk to me, but I want to get a Skulltula without talking to him, so I get ISG and ground jump from the same bomb. The ground jump prevents me from talking to the owl, and the ISG lets me kill the Skulltula. So then I can go into market. And so I sold Bunny Hood earlier to Runner Guy, so when I go into the shop here, just quickly get Mask of Truth. And also, interesting little thing that happens there, because of the item slot SRM I did a while ago, it actually put a glitched item over the child trait slot instead of sold out. And by sold out not being there, it skips his long text explaining the Mask of Truth. So it actually saves a little bit of extra time there. The slingshot game, bombchi bowling, this is just typical market game stuff. I take damage from the second shoe because it sets my angle to something perfect for the next bomb shoe I want to use. Because like, if you see the angle it hits me here, I can use that angle to just send the shoe on the wall perfectly. Bad RNG even with save states. I didn't wanna like, be too picky. I mean, I at least got good RNG with like my starting item. Like I got Heart Piece first, which is the best starting item. I'm not gonna check, like, I'm not gonna go for, you know, best RNG with the bomb chew patterns or like the target patterns. What? Gotta go get Richard. Yeah, I'll upload this to YouTube. Gotta do this game. So we actually were thinking of doing this game with F-Boots, because you actually can skip this entire game with F-Boots and just load the end room. The issue with it is that you can't use your sword in this room, which means you can't fall. And you notice how, like, all of the chests are on these little elevated platforms? There's no way to fall after getting the heart piece chest, so you can't even leave the doors. So the only way out would be like to save warp, which isn't the best, the way this route is done. Or manually unequipping F-Boots, which also isn't the best. Yeah, you can do this with Richard, he just waits outside the door patiently, like a good dog. What if you bring a Cuckoo with you? Now that's the strats we need. Good thinking. Yeah, see, Richard's right there. So now, get the Richard Heart piece. So this part's kind of dumb. So we still have to get the Skulltula in the Lots of Pots area. Ideally, you'd actually get the Skulltula earlier, and you'd warp out immediately after leaving Richard's house. So the place I want to warp to next is Temple of Time. And after leaving Richard's house, if you press left after leaving Richard's house, you get an angle that is 1 unit off of a warp angle to Temple of Time. But because the camera's in a fixed position, you have like no good way to change that 1 unit into an angle that actually works. And because of that, we actually put Lots of Pots off until now and then warp from Lots of Pots. It's so dumb. It makes me so mad. If holding left there was 1 unit different, it would be the fastest warp setup in the run. And that's it. That is the end of the crazy part of the run. So the Ferozman warps do not work as adult. So no more crazy warping. F-boots do not work as adult, they crash. So no more F-boots, although F-boots were gone a while ago anyway. So the rest of the run is normal-ish OOT speedrunning. You know, normal what you're used to from OOT speedrunning. Yes, very normal. So actually, one more dumb thing that is gonna happen though is, because I beat both Bongo and Twinrova, and I got both the Shadow and Spirit Medallion, as soon as I load Temple of Time as adult, the Light Arrow cutscene will load. That means, as soon as the Master Sword cutscene is done, well actually before the Master Sword cutscene is done, when the Master Sword cutscene is supposed to start the part in Temple of Time with meeting Sheik, it actually jumps directly into the Light Arrow cutscene. So have fun watching the Master Sword cutscene and the Light Arrow cutscene back to back. This is like an 8-minute cutscene now. And finally, I get to take a break from talking because my throat hurts from talking so much over the last 2 hours. I have hydrated. I have actually been drinking a lot during the run. It's just like there's just so much talking. I knew I was gonna have to explain a lot. I did not think I was gonna be like non-stop talking for 2 hours. Oh my god. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to explain this when I'm doing the run. See, right into the Light Arrow cutscene. So this does actually skip the part of the Light Arrow cutscene where Sheik talks to you. Or part of the Master Sword cutscene where Sheik talks to you. But the issue with that is that cutscene actually activates when you enter the back room of Temple of Time. And that's also the same way that the Prelude cutscene starts, and I need to get Prelude from Source. So I actually need to, if you know how the Prelude cutscene skip is done, I actually essentially need to do the Prelude cutscene skip twice. The first one actually skips that last part of the Master Sword cutscene, and then the second part skips the actual Prelude cutscene. Yeah, I don't know how this run could be done at GDQ. I think this run might be too much. Might be too much for GDQ. Yeah, it's still faster than watching it. I think it's still like 45 seconds faster than watching it. Even with the extra skip. So it's definitely still a good time save. Yeah, Taskbot could do it. If this gets into a GDQ, it's probably as a task spot thing. But then this is probably too long for a task spot. Yeah, macro with commentary is probably the only way to get in, just like this. So how have you guys enjoyed this so far? Alright, cool. Seems like most of you guys like it. No donation rating out of 10. Yeah, this run is definitely going to be rough to do RTA, but it's doable. Yeah, I am going to run this RTA. I will start practice tomorrow. Actually, maybe even today. I don't know. How much of the run is left? The adult portion is like a little bit less than a third of the run. No, not quite sub 3. This won't be sub 3. Sorry. Spoilers. Yeah, I know. Well, I know the general. I know roughly what the time is. I don't know the exact time, but roughly the time, yeah. We won't know the exact time either. I guess, yeah, because of that crash at the beginning, the exact time is going to be a little bit off of what is actually going to be shown on the timer. Not that it matters that much. So I finally equipped that glitched item. I mentioned earlier that glitched item acts like eye drops, so I can actually use it to give it to Big Goron. And here's the magic bean I planted earlier. Actually using the magic bean plant, because this is the fastest way to get up Death Mountain Crater. So for giving eye drops to Big Goron, he only accepts eye drops if the item in your adult trade item slot is prescription or higher in the trade quest. And so if you remember back when I did the second item slot SRM, I mentioned it put prescription in, or was it prescription or eyeball frog, I forget, in the adult trade item slot. And that means that eye drops will work, and then another one of the glitch items right next to it, the glitch item that I equipped, acted like eye drops. So I can essentially have eye drops and an item that allows him to accept eye drops at the same time. Split. And so, this is a rare occurrence where we actually don't just play Sunsong a bunch to get Begone Sword. We're actually gonna set Furrow's Wind, and then do some overworld stuff, do a bunch of collecting, and then after 3 days have passed of in-game time, then we'll come back and actually get Begone Sword. It's actually an idea that like people tried to implement into Hundo routes for a long time, but it just like never really worked out. But finally works out here. So a lot of the stuff that I'm collecting now is just a bunch of stuff that Child can't get, because most of the stuff, like, if you could get it as Child, it's faster as Child, you know, obviously with the way this run works. But a good amount of the stuff just Child can't get, and so we just gotta get it as Adult. Although there are a few exceptions, like this heart piece right here, Child can get. The gold skull at the bottom of Death Mountain Trail, Child could get it, but it's just kind of out of the way. And we also can do the Song of Storms cutscene skip setup here. If you remember this from NSR. Hundo couldn't really do this because we didn't have bombs early enough in the run yet, but now this is, you know, late enough in the run where we actually have bombs, so we can do this. You use the bombs to push you past the loading trigger and pull out Ocarina close to the Song of Time block while the windmill guy is still loaded. And like some check that there's like some check that the windmill guy uses that is also passed by pulling out the ocarina near the Song of Time block. And so by pulling out the ocarina there, it acts like you're starting the sequence to learn Song of Storms. Split. And I got enough Skulltulas to get my rewards here. Dude, splitting is hard. So I'm actually only getting 3 of the rewards. One of them is Bomb Chews, which I don't really need at this point. And one of them is another wallet, but I only need the Giant's wallet from Source. The other wallet would actually downgrade me to Adult's wallet, which is bad. Yeah, I already did the Dampé race. Did that as Child. Yeah, this was all done with save states. The actual run is definitely going to be pretty hard, but the hardest thing is it's not difficulty in execution. It's the hard part is not messing up rather than doing it right. It's just there's so much stuff that you can't mess up that messing up is just super costly. So you just can't afford mistakes. Oh yeah, I equip swapped hammer there because I was not used to equipping hammer normally at this point. I was quite used to hammer being only equipable through equip swap. Although I did actually turn that into something that kinda saves time. Because I need to have the Din's Fire slot equipped for this the upcoming equip swap for the po-duping. So it did mean that I had to equip one less thing. So, you know, small time save. See? One less equip. It was all planned. Hey, this is just a demonstration run. This is not supposed to be some kind of highly optimized test. Mini midgets, because Fro's Wind is set there. So as soon as 3 days have passed, I can just immediately warp back. I don't have to, like, play the warp song back and manually go back up. Okay, finally all the dupes are done. Yeah, Ice Cavern's one of the last things done. I'm not sure how long until I finish an RTA run. Like, part of me thinks it won't be necessarily that long to finish. Like, as long as I just only reset on, like, crashes, I think I could probably finish a run without too much time. I don't know. It's hard to say. Split. No, the bottle doesn't override the glitched item. It'll bottles, if all 4 of your bottle slots have bottles, then, or if all 4 of your bottle slots exist, then a new bottle will always go to slot 1. But I will have to bottle dupe over the glitched item in bottle slot 4 before the end of the run. So I gotta do Gerudo Valley cleanup stuff, these skulls, and then Gerudo Fortress. So Gerudo Fortress again, earlier in the run I did that SRM for the Carpenter flags. So 3 of the Carpenters are already gonna be freed in Gerudo Fortress. So I only need to free 1 of them, which is really nice, because they take forever. So you want to intentionally get caught here. This is because this flag is a shared flag with the cutscene for Ganon's castle collapsing right before the Ganon fight. And so by having this flag set and not starting the initial collapse sequence in Ganon's castle, then it skips that cutscene before the Ganon fight. Same thing done in previous Hundo routes. Oh yeah, I think when I got caught was frame 69 420 in this macro. Yeah, this route is much harder than previous routes. This is probably the hardest Hundo route. So here's freeing the one carpenter. And also, so if you go into the rooms with the other carpenters, like where they would be, what you see is they still actually give the text box of saying like, hey, come over here, please. But the carpenter isn't there and the door is just locked, and it's just a locked empty cage. Yeah, they've got ghosts locked up. That Gerudo outfit was the color of gold gauntlets. She uses the color of what tunic you're wearing or what gauntlets you have if you have gauntlets. Or if you pull out a bomb, her tunic will turn the color of a bomb. I actually should have done the bomb thing. Could have shown that off. So yeah, Gerudo training grounds, you just come in here, grab ice arrows, leave. Pretty standard stuff. Yeah, normally you wouldn't, like in a normal game playthrough, you wouldn't have gold gauntlets, or you wouldn't have any gauntlets by this point. So I'm actually not sure why gauntlets changed the color. Actually, I wonder, has the Decomp project done the Gerudo guards yet? That'd be something that Decomp would probably figure out. Yeah, I assume it's probably a mistake because of the bomb thing too, but then I also wonder like what kind of mistake could actually lead to it checking that. Some Gerudo things are decompatible, not all. Okay. It'll be cool to see when that's done. Well, that one I don't want to get 2000 because I want to intentionally waste my arrows as quickly as possible to end the game faster. This one though, since that one I only need 1000 points, but this one I need 1500. I can't afford to just waste my arrows. Yeah, 2000, no big deal. Only took me like 50 save states. No biggie. Feels Quiver 40, man. Hey, quiet. Don't say anything. So yeah, just more cleanup of this part. Yeah, okay, so the thing about the quiver... Okay, so if anyone paid attention there, that was actually Quiver 40 and not 50. Because I made a mistake. So back in the very beginning of the run, when I'm getting items from the butterflies, I was supposed to get Quiver 40 there, and I just forgot. So yeah. So, I mean, for demonstration purposes, it literally changes nothing about this run at all, except the fact that I didn't get Quiver 40 there. But yeah, like, technically this run is invalid, but I mean, it's a demonstration run, so whatever. It literally changes absolutely nothing about the rest of the run, so it doesn't matter. Invalid tasks that I already had to split into 2 parts. So yeah, now 3 days have passed and I can warp back to Big Goron and grab the Goron sword, which I will split for. Look at that. So now I'm going to Water Temple. So Water Temple is the one dungeon that we didn't do too much of as child. We got one Skulltula and Longshot, but most of it is just better as adult. Technically, I think beating Morpha as child could theoretically be faster, but only if you got a perfect fight. And a perfect fight for Morpha is pretty dumb. So essentially, most of Water Temple is better as adult. And also, if you remember way back at the beginning of the run, when I did the first item slot SRM, I mentioned I RBA'd a glitched item that lowered, set the Water Temple flags for the water to be lowered in Water Temple. And you can see it now, the water's lowered, even though I never lowered the water normally. But how can I beat Water Temple before the Zora Tunic? Good question. Watch to find out and see the incredible, amazing glitches that must be used to beat Water Temple without Zora Tunic. Yeah, I'm still going back to get the Water Skull. It's just faster to do Morpha first. That's why I set Furrow's Wind right before I open the door. I'm gonna use Furrow's Wind to warp away from the cutscene, and then go get the skulls. Yeah, this is probably the hardest 100% run. No, Glitch just doesn't get Zora Tunic. Zora Tunic is probably like maybe the easiest thing to skip in a casual playthrough. Well, I guess there's that one room at the bottom of Water Temple that actually might be kind of hard to skip. Other than that, though. Honestly, Zorshini might be easier than Limbs. If you're just doing a casual playthrough where you're actually getting hearts, then like skipping Zorshini is easy. Frames, oh no. Yeah, that was fall damage, because fall damage is just my initial height versus final height, and doesn't care that I was hookshotting down, it's just the place I was before the hookshot and the place I was when I landed was high enough that it caused damage. So this water temple route's really neat, since we have a lot of other stuff already done. You just go in here to grab that Skulltula, come out here, jump down here. And you actually intentionally open this door with a key, just because it's a little bit faster than going around and exiting from the door you came from. No, by the end of the run the menu will not still be glitching. I'll get rid of that one last glitched item near the end. At the end of the run, the menu will look normal. Like, actual normal. 17 keys, yeah, because I RBA'd Water Temple keys earlier. I got a glitched bomb bag 20 on C and RBA'd them for 20 Water Temple keys. So here's everyone's favorite trick, still in the run somehow. The water level isn't raised because it only raises during the cutscene when you get the water medallion, and I actually skipped the cutscene. I still got the water medallion from the cutscene, I just skipped it. What? Yes, commentary is live. Hello. Gameplay is pre-recorded. Nah, I think the issue was that it was faster to dive to actually activate the heart piece thing. I think like if your only goal was the Skulltula, then it's faster. But then, because to activate the heart piece, you'd have to do the hookshot thing, and that loses time. Yeah, it's the big Pepe hands. I would have loved to equip Iron Boots immediately. Just so I can share that one piece of incredibly important information. I guess I might as well talk about it since we're talking about it, but... in houses, your movement speed is changed a little bit. Your movement speed is actually lower in houses, but it also is universal across all boots, which means that Kukuri boots and Iron boots have the same speed. So, the Lakeside Lab does actually count as a house, and so... one interesting little thing you can make use of there is that from entering the room, from entering the Lakeside Lab to going in the water, it's if you want to dive down to the bottom as fast as possible, it's faster to enter the room with Iron Boots and actually walk with Iron Boots into the water than jump in the water and then equip Iron Boots. And F Boots? I assume F Boots would probably also be changed. I actually haven't checked. Remind me later and I can check. We'll set Foro's Wind back at Zora's Domain so I can just warp right back here after grabbing the skulls. This Hess is cool. How confident would I be running this set of GDQ? 0%. I'm not banned from GDQ, it's just a joke. I actually made a mistake here. I actually forgot I can equip Master Sword over Foro's Wind now, but I thought I had to keep it on for longer. I actually should have equipped Master Sword there, but I equip it a little bit later. Sorry, I'm bad. So because I already got Foro's Wind from the Fairy Fountain, I can just weird shot here straight away. Yeah, 3-hour ice cavern. Oh yeah, this is really cool. So you can step off the edge of this iceberg and then use Din's Fire and dive right down to the bottom. And grab this heart piece quick. Yeah, task would be sub 3, I think. Almost for sure. So now finally Ice Cavern, one of the last things in the run. So Ice Cavern's got a different route. You can clip out of bounds here and jump up here. So because I got Iron Boots back at the butterfly items, I can use Iron Boots and go into the Iron Boots room in reverse. This has an issue though. The Serenade of Water cutscene always starts, the condition for the Serenade of Water cutscene starting is being adult and having iron boots. And so this cutscene automatically activates when you enter this room. The problem is there's no way to skip this if it automatically starts, so we actually are watching the cutscene. And we can't just like do this as child or something, because again, this cutscene just purely does not activate as child. You have to be adult for this cutscene. Yeah, you can't even kill yourself because it activates on the room loading, and you can't. There's just no way to die on the room loading. So yeah, we are actually watching the Serenade cutscene. And yeah, like even if we could die on the room, or even if we just didn't have iron boots, like say we didn't get iron boots early, and we just came in here normally and just did the cutscene skip anyway, we have 19 double defense hearts. So if I wanted to die, I have to die with 19 double defense hearts. That's not fast. So, like, it probably takes more time to damage down 19 double defense hearts than it does to watch the cutscene. Well, depending on your method of damage, I guess. If somehow you could route in an iron knuckle quickly, then maybe not. But yeah, it's too much damage to damage down. The good thing is, it means you don't have to do anything special here. You just open it. Like it's rando. But it does mean that we get to do the rest of Ice Cavern in reverse, which is pretty cool. It also means skipping the Silver Rupee thing, which is really nice. And it means that after this heart, I can just warp out immediately. So now I actually have to go get Prelude. So I couldn't actually get Prelude at the beginning of Adult because I didn't have a sword equipped. And so I had no way to actually clip through Door of Time. Unless I opened Door of Time, but that would just be slow. So, I actually have to stick it in like near the end here. And yeah, that's the last part of the Master Sword cutscene that I mentioned earlier. How you skip the last part of the Master Sword cutscene by triggering the Light Arrow cutscene, but you still have to skip it. So I had to play that one Sun Song to skip that part, and then I can actually activate the Prelude cutscene and skip this. Now I can leave. And now I can play Bolero of Fire, so I can go get the Bolero of Fire. So we do a reverse deathless cutscene skip here. A little setup here, back walk off, take out sword, and skip the cutscene without dying. This like makes you fall through the floor. I split. So here, gotta buy a Goron Tunic, so clip into the shop. No, I'm not gonna run against these splits. That would be literally impossible. Also buy some bombs because I was running low. Skulltula up here. This next section is just Lost Woods cleanup, grabbing a few Skulltulas, getting Nut Upgrade, getting Minuet. How many skulls am I at? I think I'm at 97 right now. Oh yeah, by the way, for anyone counting on heart pieces, you may have noticed that I'm actually at 19 hearts and 3 heart pieces, but the only heart I haven't gotten yet is Goma's heart container, which would put me at 20 hearts and 3 heart pieces. So, back at the beginning when I did the first quest status SRM, that actually modifies heart piece count too, and it actually gave me 3 heart pieces. So you actually end this run with 3 heart pieces extra. What? 101%? How's that legal? Because the requirement is that you get all 36 heart pieces and 8 heart containers, and I still get all of them. Nothing wrong with getting extras. Getting extras is perfectly okay. As long as you get all the other legit ones. Oh yeah, it totally makes up for Quiver 50. Yeah. Alright, so finally, we're in the final dungeon. So there's one Skulltula that Child didn't get. It just synergizes well with Adult. Because if Child were to get this, you just kind of have to like slowly float up with F-boots, but Adult can hookshot up. And also, there's a boss key, well not boss key skip, but a clip to the boss room very quickly from here. Actually, I don't even know, is this good with collision view? I'm gonna try this with collision view. I don't know if this shows much. But you can clip right down to Goma by dropping down here. You kind of see it with collision view, yeah. And you see I drop right into the loading zone for Goma's room from there. And the reason Goma is done as Adult and not as Child is because so this run only has one Child, one Adult section. You never go back to Child. And Adult can't do the crazy warping stuff that Child can. Adult can only do these lame old wrong warps from 2012. And so for Adult, this is the fastest way to Ganon. Well, either this or Volvagia would be the fastest way to Ganon, but this ends up being easier and faster. So I actually have to play Sun Song just to reload the room, just to get rid of the stone wall. I'll just do a quick OI here. Tiny little heart, yeah. And then I have to do OI again on the blue warp for the actual wrong warp, so I need to do it again. This time I'm actually going to dupe over that glitched item that's been in my inventory for a while. And now I have 4 legit bottles again, and now my inventory is officially acceptable for 100%. So now I just well, I guess not yet, because I still need Kokiri Emerald from Source. Once I get Kokiri Emerald from Source, I'm good. Yeah, English Source Sapphire. Oh yeah, okay, minus Quiver. Forget about the Quiver. So you do this wrong warp as adult. And just like the wrong warp from Fire Temple, you also can do a collapse skip here, but it's much faster and easier from coming from Goma's room. You do this setup in the corner, and you do a super slide here. And this super slide clips you out of bounds, and then you just jump slash inbounds. And here's the bottom, and you just leave. Way easier, way faster than the hover from Fire Temple. Split. I'll get this split. Alright. These splits have been pretty terrible. Yeah, so this will be sub 320. There's a handful of accurate ones. A few. Alright, what's the time gonna be? Sub 319. Yeah, so 318, which is pretty fast. It's actually a little bit less time save than I expected, but at the same time, when you consider the fact that like all the SRMs in the run probably take over like 10 minutes to do. It takes like 10 minutes to do all the SRMs, so then like if you subtract that, then it's like, oh my god, that saves a ton. So like a little bit less time saved than expected, but kind of makes sense. But still, like, it's also like hard to save that much time from Hundo because it was already like pretty streamlined. So the fact that we were able to still save that much time is still a lot. So because this was obviously done with save states and everything, this is not the time that a real run could get. Like this, you know, essentially didn't make mistakes. Obviously I made some mistakes, but you know, for the most part, you know, no significant mistakes. So really, realistically, I think a good run would be like about 10 minutes slower. So I think sub 330 should be expected. I think should be possible to get sub 330 with this. So yeah, this is quite a route. Also, I should probably shout out a bunch of people that helped with this. Blinny did a huge amount of work on this route. Natalia's died, did a lot of work on making the SRMs for this work. Who else I need to shout out? Save State for the angle finder, because the angle finder is incredibly important for this. I did a lot of work too. I did a lot of routing too, myself. Yeah, that's to me. Oh yeah, Tharo and She's obviously for a lot of SRM stuff. I gotta actually press... Oh no! I forgot I still have A on collision view. Do you guys recognize the collision view here? I've shown this off before. You guys recognize where this is? Yeah, this is Hyrule Fields. Come on, camera, move. Yeah, so this whole cutscene actually takes place in Hyrule Field, just with all the collision invisible. This is what it actually looks like. Here, I'll do C up so I don't keep putting on Hitbox Viewer and Collision Viewer. Yeah, this actually looks really cool with everything actually loaded. Well, I guess that doesn't look very cool. Looking at that pixelated background. Yeah, you can do text with C up. A, B, and C up are the buttons you can advance text with. Okay, yeah, so that's the run. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will begin doing runs of this soon after a lengthy amount of practice because, oh my god, this run is going to be crazy to do. This is going to be a very hard run to finish runs of consistently, but it'll be fun. I think it'll be really neat. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh yeah, I was gonna upload the save states. Oh yeah, so... Well, actually I already have it uploaded, I just gotta link it. Alright, so if you guys want to download the macro and save states used here, you can download it here. So that has all of the macro, that has both the macros, all of the save states, and also a watch file. Here. Come on. So the macros are in each of the parts, and then the watch file also has relevant watches for the run. These down here mainly. And if you want to actually play this back on your own console, it has to be on VC. This will only sync on VC, it'll crash on N64. But you just import macro, import a save state, and then play. So yeah, you guys can play this back on your own thing if you want. I don't think GZ version matters. I mean, latest version of GZ is obviously preferred. There's no reason to be on an older version, but I think as long as you're on a version that accepts macros period, like that has importing macros period, it should work. Yeah, there is GZ on N64, it's just that if you tried to play this back, there are things in this run that would crash. Like, if you do a run that doesn't have anything that would crash on N64, then it would sync on both N64 and VC. Oh yeah, F-boots and houses. Let me check. Come on. Should be this one. Okay, max walking speed is 5. Yeah. Okay, yeah, rolling is also shortened because normal walk speed with F boots is like 6.7 or something, and rolling is faster. Yeah, so lag, nice. Yeah, 6.5 walking speed and 9.8 roll speed. And this is 5 walk speed and 7.5. And I can also demonstrate with iron boots. Obviously this will be as child, but I'm pretty sure it's the same as child and adult actually. Yeah, so 5 speed, normal, 7.5 walking. Security boots, 5, 7.5. Cool. Oh, there's also one more thing I wanted to show. I don't want to do this. Let's do from here. So I was talking about this one. I was talking about bongo with F boots. I just want to show bongo with F boots because it's funny. I think this is it. Just goes right back up. Just nopes out of there. Dude, you could hear him sneeze. And now you're stuck up here. You can't even jump slash or anything. Can I pause? No, I can't even pause. Yeah, you're just soft locked. So that's cool. So that's why we couldn't do bongo with F boots. Not that they'd be faster anyway. Okay, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. So I'm gonna upload this whole thing to YouTube and then start practicing for runs soon.